pain away. Nothing else more to say. Everything that I have, I'll give. First, you gotta pick a side. Now you got a team and you're rolling with the pride. Wanna play the game, make it to the end. I wanna bring it back again. I feel it inside. I'm reaching my stride. I'm standing my ground. I won't give in. I'm moving ahead. I'm back from the dead. I'm ready to fight again. Raising the roof, raising the roof, raising the roof. I'm raising the roof. All the mistakes I made, now I can change my fate. No one can take this heart away. First, you gotta pick a side. Now you got a team and you're rolling with the pride. Wanna play the game and make it to the end. I wanna bring it back again. I feel it inside. I'm reaching my stride. I'm standing my ground. I won't give in.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
All roads lead to Road America. At least they do for the PRL Monday Night Series. That's right, 2 championship deciders, 2 excellent series of racing, and both on the most hallowed and revered of North American racing circuits. Welcome, everyone, to the first helping of the night, the PRL MX-5 Cup Series, live here on RaceSpotTV. My name is DJ Clark, joined in the booth, as always, by Joey Tebben, with our director and producer, Hugo Luis, behind the scenes. And Joey, you and I have been harping on this one the whole year long, but here we are at Road America season finale, getting ready for things to get going, and it is going to be a fantastic time.
And you can see on the feed there, it's a little bit dark and gloomy and windy. It's not the best conditions in Road America, but it is going to be a phenomenal race regardless. No matter what you put on this track, whether it's the MX-5s, whether it's the GT4s, name any other car that goes road course racing, or any car that goes oval racing for that matter, you are guaranteed to have an exciting race in Elkhart Lake.
That you most certainly are, and as we've said, this brings us to where we are right now, the championship finale, but let's go ahead and take a look at where we've been, as there you can see starting the season all the way back on September 19th in Watkins Glen. We have toured across the U.S. and across the world. They're going to such places as Suzuka, Donington, and Zandvoort last weekend, and that has brought us up to this point in the championship standings. Now, it is James Jamison Sampaio that stands up on the top of the charts. Kevin Sandiego looked like he was going to be able to close down on him there, but it doesn't look like Sandiego is here today. So that means championship might as well be awarded here to Jamison Sampaio. Michael Chase in a close battle there with Austin Bartlett. Chase for the final step onto the podium, followed by Andrew Sharp and Kelly Greenhoe, Kevin Berquist, all of them within striking distance there potentially of P5. Derek Putnam sits in a very close battle there with Andrew Venaro and Ryan Kings as things shake themselves down. And I've got to say, a little bit more spread out there in the teams championship, but not by a whole lot. Unlimited Slips starting to close up there on Dark Horse Esports. Crikey Esports sits a fair ways back there, and an island unto themselves kind of is CFMP Sampaio as well. Fossil Racing in a very, very close three-way battle for the top 5 right now with Sperati Motorsports and YS Motorsports. They're holding down those positions. We'll have to keep you abreast of that change over the course of the night. Whataback Racing in 8th with Derpy Playground YT and Apollo Racing Club rounding out your top 10. But that is going to go ahead and bring us to our sponsors for the day. And first and foremost, a massive, massive thank you to the Virtual Competition Organization, without which none of this racing action would be possible today. We also want to give a big thanks to Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Also want to thank Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount code using Precision 5 coupon code. Also, thanks to RaceLab apps. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. Also, thanks to the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. And finally, thanks to Ninja Trader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, Ninja Trader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. Ninja Trader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Well, Joey, with the business out of the way, it's time to get racing here on this track. And, well, with as long as some of these straights are going to be, I'm not surprised to see what we're seeing on screen right now, which is a lot of these drivers in a little bit of a slipstream train.
Yeah, you need to be working with your teammates here. You're not going to be on pole at Road America with no help. Michael Chase isn't actually giving very much help to his son, Austin Bartlett Chase, behind in the Gradient Sunset sort of car. I think Austin's a little bit too far back to get the full effect of the draft. He's still going to get some of it. Michael, though, is going to go for a vanilla lap here, all on his lonesome. It's going to be a 2:35.0. But look at Austin Bartlett Chase behind. He was actually slower, so you can see he didn't actually get the full effect of the draft. But Kelly Greenhoe, who was working with Ryan Kings, there's about 6/10 in the draft there.
Yeah, that's 6/10 there. Mark Kalin putting in a good qualifying time. That'll see him up into P2 at this point. The two chases reside in 3rd and 4th right now, and David Van Roy is in 5th, but we're still waiting for over half the field here to be able to put down a qualifying time. So plenty of time left to go here. About 15 minutes, call it 14, still on the clock. But I've got to think you've got to get a move on here, Joey. I mean, we're looking at laps in the ballpark of about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You're not going to have a whole lot of time to be able to get going around here.
And add the outlap in, and that means it literally takes 5 minutes to do a lap coming out of the pits. So you do not want to dawdle. You do not want to waste any time. Mark Kalin looks like he's going to back out of this lap. He's going to let Michael Chase by. I don't actually see where Austin is behind him. I think Austin might still be a little bit too far back to get the full effect of the draft from his dad here. So honestly, I think what the two chases might be doing here is they're both going to go out for a couple of banker laps. They're both going to try and put their best lap in. And then after they figure all that out, they might come back to the pits and come back out and start to work together. But as I said, it takes 5 minutes to come out of the pits and set your first lap, so you don't have much time to play with.
Yeah, and to your point there, it looks like Austin Bartlett Chase finds himself about 1.4 seconds behind the number 34 here at this point, so certainly losing some time there. He needs to be within about 1 second to be able to get the full effect of that draft as they work their way around right now. A little bit surprising, Jamison Sampaio in 7th right now. I expect him to find his way a little bit farther up the charts, as it looks like he's about 2 full seconds off as he actually just came down into pit lane, so not entirely sure what is happening there to our champion-elect, but we'll try to get to the bottom of that as we watch Michael Chase coming down into the ever-treacherous Canada corner.
Jameson has the championship on lock because, unfortunately, DJ mentioned it in the pre-race, his championship rival has made me very, very sad tonight. Bop, boot and boobay doo bop, where in the world is Kevin Sandiego? I'm so sad he's not here. He's not going to be able to fight for a championship. He's not going to be able to go for another duel with Jameson. That's because, unfortunately, he has Thanksgiving plans. He's had travel plans that he needed to take care of, as has Andrew Sharp. So we won't see him in the field tonight, but Jameson will still try and put on a show with the rest of his rivals. Michael Chase doesn't improve on this lap, and doesn't look like Austin improved behind him either.
Well, and it looked like, to your point there, both of them decided to come on in and park it. Here is Kevin Bergquist, though. Bergquist yet to set a time out on the chart as the number 64 comes to the line right now. Let's see if he's able to put down a representative time. That's going to be a 2:37, and that'll see him into 11th place. Again, not really being able to get the full advantage of the draft, and I think that is part of the reason we see him so far back into the field. Greenhoe, Kalen, Chase, and Ben Roy all were able to use the draft at least to some efficacy here today.
Kalen just clipped the grass coming into turn 3, so I think he's playing with a little bit more than the track he's been given. I don't know if he's going to get an off track for that, but it certainly didn't help him under breaking into turn 3. He got very, very loose there. He's going to catch up to the back of the 47 of Alex Teeter here. Kalen's definitely faster than Teeter, so if Teeter's going to give him some draft, I guess that'll be helpful for him, and Teeter's actually going to back out of the way. He knows that he would have been holding up Mark Kalen there, but Mark Kalen, I think, knows that he was already getting held up anyway, and he's going to go for some nice Road America donuts here, put on a show for some of the fans in the grandstand over there.
Yes, he is, and that is most certainly going to invalidate his lap as he just has a little bit of fun there down on the exit.
Minus 10 seconds for every donut you do.
He's loving it there, hamming it up for the camera. I think he knows he was featured there at that point, having a good time there, but he will stay in P2 right now. Here's Josh Kimball in the number 978 machine as he brings it down into turn 5. Gonna have to watch out for some of that smoke coming through the corner, no doubt, as Kalen continues to do donuts. Kimball gets a little bit of that exit grass there, exit gravel, but that shouldn't hurt him too much, and I don't think that'll count as an off track over the ever perilous turn 6. Doesn't matter what kind of car you are in, that corner always willing to catch you off guard.
Yeah, turn 6 is basically a blind corner. It's sighted in these MX-5s because they're so slow. Eventually you do get late enough in the corner when you hit the brakes that you can kind of see the apex, but it's a very, very difficult corner. It's uphill, it flattens out. The apex seemingly never comes. It seems like every single time you try and go through there, you're always a little bit wide. You're always missing it just a little bit. Kimball did a decent job through there, though. He's done a decent job on this lap, so I don't think a 2:45 is his legitimate pace. I don't think Josh Kimball is actually 10 seconds off the pace of Kelly Greenhoe, but in reality, the field spread for everybody else is legitimate because it is such a long lap. There's so many opportunities to make mistakes. There's so many corners you can be slower than another driver in that's why we're seeing more field spread, I think, than we ever have this season. It's 3.5 seconds from 1st to 13th.
Yeah, you're very, very right, and that is partially because of that super long lap as we now jump on board here with Josh Kimball, give you a good idea of what's it like to come through Bill Mitchell Bend in these MX-5s. Relatively flat out there, maybe a little bit of a feather of the throttle to just try to keep those RPMs under line, and then coming through the final corner here, always tricky to get right. You want to try to carry as much momentum as you can around the outside of that corner while not compromising the turn in there a little bit. Always a little bit of a give and take as you go, but let's see if Kimball's able to improve here. He's going to come to the line trying to improve on a 2:45. Looks like he's going to be able to do that handily. A 2:37 that'll see him springboard up into P13.
Still definitely needs a little bit of the help from the draft. There's definitely a lot of time lost that comes from, the difference between some drivers just aren't as fast as Kelly Greenhoe in qualifying, but when there's 3 seconds of difference, there's definitely some help from the draft there. You saw Kelly getting a ton of help from his teammate Ryan Kings, and now you see Michael Chase and Austin Bartlett Chase. As I theorized, they have found each other on track once again. They are going to try and work together this time after both getting their own laps on the board, just at their own pace. Now they see each other. They see Unlimited Slip is still fighting for this team's championship technically, so they definitely want to lock out this front row because Dark Horse Esports, they only have 2 horses in the race with Greenhoe and Kings now, so it's still definitely mathematically in contention for Unlimited Slip to steal this team's championship.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point, and that's some of the math that we will be doing over the course of tonight's broadcast to make sure you are on top of that. It does look like Chase here, the older Michael Chase, is definitely getting a nice heaping of the draft here, seeing personal bests being set through Sector 1 and Sector 2, so he's certainly doing some good job here. Now remember, no aero wash really to speak of in these MX-5s. It is all just about what you can get off the slipstream, and now this is going to be one of the areas where that super comes into play, coming out of the carousel, down through the kink, and into Canada corner.
I think Michael might have actually caught Austin a little bit too early here. He's not going to get any help really down the back straight. Austin backs out. He gets out of the way because he knows he would have been holding up Michael there. We'll see if he gets on the brakes a little bit earlier here coming into Canada corner. Yep, he does. He gets out of the way. He lets Michael through, but I think Michael really wanted to use the full effect of the draft around the back straight there, but he couldn't. He was just faster than Austin. He caught him too early. He caught him just as they were going through the kink. I don't think he had to check up at all, which is good, but it isn't as good as it could have been. And I have to imagine that Austin's probably going to back off just a little bit more here, seeing what happened to his dad, so he doesn't get held up in about 2 minutes 30 time when they do their next lap around.
Yeah, I've got to think that's right here. And that's going to be something we talk about over the course of this running, is the timing of those moves, when you want to be able to pull out, when you want to be able to find the lines, etc., etc. Here is going to be Michael Chase coming to the line right now, a 2:34. That is going to improve the time, but it's not going to move his position around. He will stay in P3.
That sky is absolutely ridiculous in the background. It's darker than the track. It is gloomy conditions out here. That's actually really good for the racetrack. I'm sure the drivers are happy, but it is certainly not a pretty picture in the sky back there. You would think it was going to rain if it was about an update or two from now. Ryan Kings improves. There's definitely time on the track because it is so cool. You're not going to see the track heating up and getting worse. So there's definitely going to be time on track until the end of the session.
Yeah, and speaking of getting better, Ryan King's able to go a little bit better there. He's going to put down a time that is going to see him jump into P4 in the standings, splitting Michael Chase and Austin Bartlett Chase. So that's going to be good news for him in that battle for P1 in the team's championship. Here is Jeff Parsons, currently back in 16th position right now, holding on to a time of 2:40.08 here at this point. That's going to be about 5 seconds off of the best that we've seen. Gotta think this is going to be one of those moments where it's just a little bit unrepresentative of the time. I've got to think he'll be able to close it down here a little bit more on this lap.
You saw what Josh Kimball was able to do on the last lap. He picked up about 8 seconds, so we'll see if Jeff Parsons has a little bit more through the final couple of corners. The 2 Spratty Motorsport drivers, and Teeter and his teammate a little bit further back. I didn't see which of his teammates that was, but that's Malcolm Foster, who's not a teammate, letting Alex Teeter by. He knows that Alex is also trying to go for a flyer here. He's another driver who hasn't done a representative lap in this session. He's probably about 4 seconds off where he really should be. We've seen Alex not qualify at the head of the field this season, but he has certainly been far closer than where he is right now, and he does dispatch a Malcolm Foster fairly straightforwardly, and there shouldn't be any traffic for him on the rest of the lap unless Kevin Berquist does something wrong up front.
Yeah, and he'll have to be hoping for that. Berquist, though, also like Teeter here, running without a lot of draft. How much is that going to hurt them? That is going to be the story that we talk about really and truly over the course of not only this qualifying session, but the entirety of the race, is just how much that draft will come into play. A little bit of sideways action there for Teeter coming through the carousel. Not to be unexpected there, as he does... those cars do break a little bit of grip there coming through that flat out section of the track. Again, a little bit sideways there through the kink. Car off in the background there. Looks like they're going to be able to keep it together, which is always a hair-raising moment whenever you get a little bit sideways through the kink. That can be a very, very scary moment.
I hope Malcolm Foster gets paid for that lawn mowing, because he definitely kicked up quite a bit of grass over there. He's going to invalidate his lap, but I think he already invalidated his lap when it started because he had to let Alex teeter by. So hopefully he can clean the grass off of those tires and get going here once he crosses the line again, because that lap has been invalidated from the start. And also in the background, a couple of corners ago in the carousel, I think I saw Michael Chase clip the grass and completely right off that Miata. So I think Michael Chase's qualifying might be over. Malcolm Foster, I think, just pulled down the pit lane, so he might be done as well. But here is a representative time from Alex Teeter. We can only hope. 2:36. There it is.
Up to P9 goes the number 47, so that is a good time there. He'll be very, very pleased with that. Let's see what Pete Thomas is able to do. He's trying to improve on a 2:37.9 right now as he's going to track to the line with a 2:37.991. That's going to be a couple of hundredths of a second off of his best time, and with just 2 minutes on the clock, this is going to be his last bite at the apple here. Here is Michael Chase working with Austin Bartlett Chase, although ABC appears to be a little bit too far into the distance right now. That gap at about 1.3 seconds, I think that's going to be a little bit out of the expected draft range.
And I think Michael has alleviated some of my concerns. I don't think he actually got into the wall when he had a little bit of a moment through the carousel, or it's entirely possible that that was another gray car in my periphery. So I don't know if it was Michael Chase. So sorry for any Michael Chase fans. Sorry if the Chase family's watching, if I got their heart rate up a little bit, but he's still alive and well here. He's definitely in the conversation for pole. If him and Austin can line things up here, if they can organize things, of course there's going to be 4/10 for Michael Chase. Of course he'll be able to catch Kelly Greenhoe, but that organization has not worked out very well for either of these drivers so far in this session. Michael is a little bit further back to Austin this time. I don't think he'll catch him through the kink like he did on the previous time around. He should actually be able to get the full effect of the draft down the back straight, but they've just got to organize it perfectly, and they have to make sure that Austin doesn't make a mistake and close everything down again.
Yeah, they certainly do, and it does look like the good news here for Michael Chase is that gap has come down to about 0.8 of a second, so I think some definite teamwork playing into the two of them here as we tick down under a minute to go on the clock here at this point. Michael Chase continuing to close behind right here. This is not going to be a worry about running up too quickly. He is setting some personal best times I am seeing on the charts right now. We'll have to see. David Ben Roy also looked particularly quick there through the final sector, but he's going to stay in P7 here at this point. But Michael Chase is the one to be watching. What does Chase the senior have? What does the number 34 have as they come out of Canada corner? Austin Bartlett Chase getting out of the way dutifully there. I think he got things a little bit wrong, and now it's going to be a clear shot for Michael Chase. He went purple through sector 4.
That's not what Michael needed, though. He needed Austin in front of him, pulling him up the hill, pulling him to the line, but Austin made a mistake through Canada corner. Michael's still going to have all the effect of the draft from the rest of the lap. He's going to have a full back straight of an advantage there, but he might need that little bit more. That might be the difference in what brings him to pole and what doesn't. So let's see. Can he beat a 2:34.4 here? Of course, by 0.3. Who needs a draft down the front straight?
And he's able to get it, and that's going to put him right into pole position ahead of Kelly Greenhoe. The only response here, it looks like, for Dark Horse Esports is going to be with the number 43, Ryan Kings, who finds himself about 1.14 seconds off of the best time here at this point. And I've got to say, it looks like he's a little bit too far back here. We're not seeing any personal best sector times out of any of this for the driver here of the 43. I don't think this is going to be a particularly quick one here.
He might as well finish it, see if he can find anything, but I think you're exactly right. He's not going to get 0.6 out of this to catch Mark Kalin, I don't think, but he's still going to go for it through the final quarter. He's still fully committed. Washes out a little bit wide there, but doesn't wash out into the gravel, and yeah, he knows he's not going to improve. He brings it down pit lane. But Michael Chase, first pole, finally, after 2 seasons, he's done it.
Yes, indeed, he has, as that is going to be your pole sitter here, and it looks like qualifying is about wrapped up from Road America. My goodness gracious, Michael Chase up on the top of the podium here for qualifying. That is a great run for the number 34, and we wish him the best in this run as they go along. Just waiting here for everything to officially tick over, and we will take you over to the starting grid for today's session as we wait for these drivers to finish up. And there it is, Michael Chase on pole position with Kelly Greenhoe to his outside. Mark Kalin, surprised there to see him in P3. I think that's one of his best qualifying sessions of the season, with Ryan Kings in P4. And the final driver competing for that team's championship, Austin Bartlett Chase, finds himself in P5. Jamison Sampaio, we didn't talk a lot about him during qualifying, but he finds himself back in 6th, surprisingly. David Van Royal starts 7th, followed by Ian Cabana in 8th. Row 5 will be Alex Dieter and Malcolm Foster. Then it's Pierre Robitaille and Josh Kimball in P12. P13 will be Andrew Venaro with Kevin Berquist to his outside. Matthew St. Aubin and Pete Thomas, Robert Gallinotto, and Jeff Parsons will make up the row behind them. And then I believe we may have Tony Patty out there as well, but we will have to see, as Patty was not able to set a time down on the board. Well, Joey, a standing start here in the MX-5 is going to make things a little bit different than what we're used to seeing at Road America, but we'll have to see how they're able to get their way down into Turn 1. It's not exactly going to be the easiest funnel to get down through.
And with how long the straights are at Road America, you don't want to do anything too aggressive at Turn 1. You don't want to completely eliminate yourself from the fight for the win, because you know that the top 6, the top 7, even the top 8, they're all going to be stuck together for basically the entirety of this race. And you have to make sure you're thinking about 35 minutes from now. Do you make a move that might take you out of that draft pack, or do you just hang behind, stay in the pack, wait for the pit stops to come around, and then really start to make your moves at the end of the race? There's a lot of aggressive drivers here in the top 6. There's Jamison Sampaio, who I think didn't really take qualifying very seriously. He knew he only had to finish this week to beat Kevin Sandiego in the championship, and Kevin isn't even here tonight. So I think Jamison can have a little bit of fun here, qualifying a little bit deeper in the field. Michael Chase on pole for the first time. I actually undersold him. This is his 3rd season of the MX-5s, not his 2nd. It's a strange situation for him. He's never started that high up the field, and Mark Kalin trying to turn the Mark Kalin season around and steal a win. There's so many drivers who are really hungry in this top 6, and they're all going to be stuck together for 35 minutes.
Yes, they are indeed, as we just wait for a few drivers to grid up here on the grid. Malcolm Foster and Michael Chase, the last two that we wait for. I can tell you good news for fans of Tony Patty, as it looks like the driver of the 00 machine has gridded up here today. But here they come as we wait for the final drivers to grid themselves up. Just waiting for Malcolm Foster here at this point. Drivers receiving the last bit of instructions from race control before the lights begin to go on here at Road America. Again, this will be a 35-minute race. 1 pit stop. Probably not going to see a whole lot of divergence when it comes to pit stop strategy because of the long lap around here. But none of that matters now, because we've got 3 lights on, and there goes the green. We are racing in Wisconsin. A little bit of wheel spin there from Michael Chase, but he's still able to get a good getaway ahead of Kelly Greenhoe and Ryan Kings. Jamison Sampaio already up on a charge, up 2 positions already. He's looking at trying to be able to take the move here to Sampaio, or to Kings and to Greenhoe as they dive down into that first corner. Everything funneling its way on through. Looks like the first couple of rows are through nice and cleanly. Sampaio still looking very, very aggressive there on Ryan Kings, trying to fight his way forward. Now he's going to have a look on Kelly Greenhoe.
But what happened to Mark Kalin on the start there? The car didn't start. He couldn't get it into gear. He stalled on the grid. Nobody hit him. But Mark Kalin was just stationary there as the entire field went by. He finally got it in gear as everybody went by. But he's 12 seconds off the lead now after his best qualifying of the season. And I guess that's the only way the Mark Kalin season could possibly start to end.
Yeah, indeed. It has been terrible, terrible luck for Kalin, and he now finds himself all the way down in 19th here at this point. But there's Jamison Sampaio in the number 419, up 4 positions since the drop of the green flag. Already starting to try to push his way forward here at this point, trying to catch in on your leader, Michael Chase. He's got about a 9/10 of a second advantage here at this point, and he's going to be hoping to grow that a little bit. We jump back to ride on board with Ian Cabana, sporting a new paint scheme here tonight, as he is now going to be trying to close in on the back of David Van Roy for top 6 in front of him.
Ryan Kings is off the road as well. He's lucky it's early days. He's lucky he's going to be able to get back in line here in front of Ian Cabana, or potentially behind Ian Cabana. He's got to think here, do I really want to fight with the number 774 right now? Do I want to fight with Ian, or do I want to just get ahead of him so we can both work together to catch back up to David Van Roy and not lose this draft? He is able to hold on to the position. He is able to hold off Ian Cabana, but now he has to hope that Ian has the same idea, and he's going to hang back for a moment here as Ryan tries to catch back up to David Van Roy and get the draft back.
Yeah, behind them, Pierre Robitaille and Andrew Venaro having a little bit of a problem there through the kink as we keep our eyes right now on Ryan Kings. A little bit of a fan out there in front of them as that's going to be Kelly Greenhoe and Austin Bartlett Chase going too wide down into the corner. David Van Roy almost getting things wrong through Canada corner. He's going to lose a couple of positions there, but we're still side by side between Greenhoe and Austin Bartlett Chase. They funnel their way back down into single file before they get to Bill Mitchell Bend, as now David Van Roy has lost at least one position here, trying to gain back on Pierre Robitaille, trying to fight him off around the outside, and it looks like the number 4 is going to be able to do just that for now.
Remember when I said everybody was probably going to take lap 1 a little bit easier, try and stick together, try and make sure they have a chance later on in the race? Well, throw that all out the window because I was completely wrong. The only 2 drivers in the lead pack now are Michael Chase and Jamison Sampaio, who made up 4 spots on the start. Everybody else now is basically fighting for third. Kelly Greenhoe and Austin Bartlett Chase are trying to fight for the head of this train, and as they do that, they see the gap of Sampaio expanding and expanding and expanding, so they have to figure out how to organize here to try and catch back up to Jamison.
Yeah, they really and truly do. And that gap, 3 seconds here at this point. That's not the way to do it. Going a little bit wide on the exit of turn 3 is Austin Bartlett Chase. He's going to find himself losing some time. And it looks like here early on, the real story has been incident mitigation, Joey. A lot of drivers getting things wrong here in the early goings.
And we're seeing a ton of target fixation here, just simple target fixation stuff. You saw Andrew Venaro and a few drivers behind him just throw it off the road at the kink, just one after one after one after the other, because they were just following each other off. And then when Ryan Kings, or when Austin Bartlett Chase rather, got a little bit deep there, a couple drivers just decided to follow him off as well. That's just a hard thing to do, especially when you're in a close pack like this, when there's one mistake in front of you, when your periphery suddenly changes, when you're not braking in the same place you were before because you're distracted. It's very, very easy to make a mistake and throw it off the road.
Yeah, it is. One driver who hasn't made that mistake quite at this point yet, Jamison Sampaio and Michael Chase, both of them doing a very, very good job up at the front of the field. And I've got to give massive credit here to the pace out of the 34. I know I would have wilted under the pressure here from Jamison Sampaio, but Michael Chase holding it quite well, doing a great job of being able to just hold out into the lead and not have any chinks in that armor here at this point.
Greenhoe and Kings are really kind of hoping here that Jamison decides to fight with Michael Chase, that he doesn't just ride behind him and save a little bit of fuel, but it looks like they're going to get their wish. Jamison is somewhat interested in fighting. Michael Chase, though, blocks all the way to the inside on the back straight. Jamison doesn't elect to go to the outside and go for the move. I don't know if that was just Jamison reacting too late and not actually being able to go for the move, or if that was just him backing out and staying in the draft and saving fuel. If I had to think about how Jamison has run his races earlier this season, I have to imagine that he was saving a little bit of fuel, but I guess we'll see the real answer here out of the final corner down the front straight. If Jamison goes for it in turn 1, he definitely wants the lead. If he just hangs back here and lifts out of it, he's definitely saving for later.
Well, and to your point a little bit earlier, look at that. Already 0.3 of a second taken out of this lead as courtesy of the battling. So let's have to see. Looks like Sampaio doesn't have all that much intention of staying in front, as he's given a nice little bump draft here to Michael Chase. You can see the Dark Horse Esports teammates there behind, trying to fight their way around a little bit, trying to get a little bit of leapfrog action going on in the background. But this is the eyes that we have them on right now. Michael Chase, Jamison Sampaio continuing to follow their way around right now, getting out of turn 3. This could be another area. If Sampaio doesn't want to wait around, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a move here coming down into 5.
Yeah, I don't know really what the best thing to do here. Jamison's thinking, restrictor plate NASCAR style. He's thinking, I'll just give a little bit of a how do you do, a little bit of a Bois Noich to the back of Michael Chase's bumper. I'll push him forward, and that's how we're going to run away from Greenhoe and Kings. But you can see that has not worked at all. Greenhoe and Kings are bringing that gap down just by running in line. And they're probably going to bring it a little bit less down because I think Kelly Greenhoe just threw it off the road in the background again, but it was working for him before that mistake.
Yeah, it was working for him before that, and look who was able to pick up the pieces of the problem there. That was Austin Bartlett Chase, now into P3, leading this true gaggle of cars as they all try to take different lines here, going down into turn 7, working their way around there. That's the 774, by the way, of Ian Cabana, trying to sort himself out here a little bit, looking this way, looking that way. A little bit of a puff of brake smoke there in front. Not sure who that was from exactly, as it looks like here that Kelly Greenhoe is going to take a a little bit of a wider line coming down into the corner. Very close quarters racing between Ryan Kings and Austin Bartlett Chase directly in front of them. This is getting a little bit close, and I've got to think here that Kings is going to want to make a move going down into Canada corner.
He'll definitely think about it, but again, I don't know if that's the smart thing to do. You saw that Kelly and Kings rather were working very well together, just riding in line while Michael and Sampaio were fighting with each other. But no, Ryan Kings wants this position. He thinks he's the fastest driver of this train. That might be true because he was just able to absolutely mug Austin Bartlett Chase, and Michael Chase has gone around to Canada corner.
We'll have to get a replay of exactly what happened there, but the number 34 getting it all kinds of wrong, and he's now going to find himself about 4 seconds back of Jamison Sampaio and at risk of falling into the clutches of this battle bat for second here at this point. My goodness gracious, how the tables can turn just like that. Here quickly comes down into the corner and just catches that outside gravel there.
He didn't get any damage, so it could have been far worse, but that is just the worst possible feeling when you had a comfortable lead, when Jamison wasn't even fighting you for the win, and you still just make that little mistake. He clipped the gravel on the outside, and there was no saving that once he did put it into the gravel. But he might actually be a friend here for Austin, for Ryan Kings, for Kelly Greenhoe. If he can, honestly, I guess just back up the pace a little bit, might as well just join them. He might be able to tow them forward and bring them back into the fight with Jamison. But that's going to be a very difficult battle because there's now 4 seconds separating Jamison and the rest of the field.
Yeah, and as we take a look here on split screen, this is also the battle back for P8. Josh Kimball, David Van Roy, Bergquist, St. Aubin, Foster, and Venaro all involved in that battle. Kelly Greenhoe coming over the radio. They're not exactly sure what's going on as they bring their way down into turn 5 here at this point. You see David Van Roy trying to maybe line up a move here on Josh Kimball on that main picture. Is he going to think about it? No. It even looked like Bergquist was thinking about it a little bit there, as I think that's going to be Foster losing a place to Matthew St. Aubin, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
I think it might have been the other way around, actually. I think Malcolm Foster stole that from old St. Aubin. He made a little bit of a mistake there under breaking into turn 5. St. Aubin representing good old Movember. I'm a big fan of that mustache on the front end of that car. Lots of Movember, lots of charity-themed things here in the month of November. And Matthew St. Aubin's doing his best James Carter impression, representing a charity.
There you go, and good call on that, my friend, as they now work their way through the carousel right now. Again, Kelly Greenhoe looking very, very aggressive there, taking a little bit of an outside line through the carousel, trying to carry as much momentum as possible. That is going to allow for his teammate here, Kelly Greenhoe, to catch up to the back of them as they run. Looks like Michael Chase slipping off into the distance to the tune of about 2.5 seconds here at this point. But here comes the move from Kelly Greenhoe. Going to be down to Ryan Kings, down to the inside of Austin Bartlett Chase, going down into Canada corner. They're going to be side by side. Can Kelly Greenhoe now be the one to find his way through? No, he's going to slide back into line, but move Ryan Kings back into P3.
They're just constantly switching back every single lap. It seems like it's Ryan Kings going for the move on ABC. It seems like it's ABC going for the move on Ryan Kings. You might think that doing a little bit of leapfrog might actually be quick, but it has not been quick for these guys at all. You can see how much time they're losing. Michael Chase might actually be able to bring down the gap to Jamison Sampaio on his own. He's going to have a very, very difficult job of doing so, but he definitely has a pace advantage. The question is it a 3.7 second pace advantage in 24 minutes? I'm not so sure it is. He's certainly going to be pushing and hoping that Jamison makes kind of the same mistake that he did and maybe loses focus out front, because that's basically Michael's only hope.
Yeah, so looking at the lap times last time around there, Michael Chase was able to set a personal best, but only about 0.06 of a second faster than Jamison Sampaio as they continue to go side by side here down into turn 3. That's Austin Bartlett Chase, the tricolored machine, the number 43 of Ryan Kings, down to the inside in that old Mazda livery as they now continue side by side down the back straightaway here. And I think maybe a little bit of a bump draft coming into play as Kelly Greenhoe gave his teammate a little bit of a push, and now they're going to fan out and box in Austin Bartlett Chase. Some great teammate work there for them as they're now going to dive onto the binders down into turn 5. Austin Bartlett Chase trying to hold that inside line. Doesn't look like that's going to pay out. Big slip in front there from Ryan Kings rather. Kings is going to be able to keep it. Does that allow for Kelly Greenhoe to slip on by? No, it does not as they work their way through turn 6.
I think some of these drivers are going to have to start thinking about the incident limit here, because we've seen a lot of those small runs off track. We've seen a lot of clips of the grass, clips of the gravel. You only get 13 incident points in PRL Road Series before you get a penalty, and a penalty at Road America is a very long penalty as Austin Bartlett Chase dives into the inside of Ryan Kings. That was a very late move. He definitely spooked Kelly Greenhoe, rather. That was Greenhoe on the inside, and Ryan Kings, for good measure, threw it off the road in turn 6 as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. The incident limit may be coming into play here a little bit, but right now the draft is going to be what's coming into play if you are Austin Bartlett Chase. A little bit of dust kicked up there on the exit of the carousel as now they come down into the kink defensive line from Kelly Greenhoe. Greenhoe is going to continue to run defensive down the back straightaway here through Kettle Bottoms. Let's see what they do. It looks like a little bit of an edge here for Austin Bartlett Chase as they get ready to jump onto the binders, going down into Canada corner. Around the outside goes Austin Bartlett Chase. Is he going to be able to hold that position into Bill Mitchell Bend? Yes, he is, because Kelly Greenhoe is going to give it to him, and that's going to allow for Ian Cabana to be fully a part of this party as well.
And in all this fighting, these guys are 2 seconds a lap slower than Michael Chase and Jameson Sampaio, so they're fighting for third place right now. I think they all know that, so they're just throwing everything at the wall right now to fight for that last podium position, and Kelly Greenhoe is the latest driver to make a mistake. It seems like all 3 of these drivers are just kind of cursed when they're in the lead. Whenever they end up there, they're cursed to make a mistake, and now we're going to go 3 wide down the front straight. Ryan Kings, rather, is going to have to back out of that. It's very difficult to tell those 2 cars apart, especially when they're fighting.
Yeah, it very much is. Kelly Greenhoe in the number 12 going to be the one that leads down into the corner, trying to give a little bit of a pinch there to Austin Bartlett Chase. Gives him just enough room, but Kelly kicks up a little bit of dust there on the exit of turn 1. Now Austin Bartlett Chase is going to slide back into line. Kelly Greenhoe going a little bit defensive into turn 3, maybe about a half a lane off of what you consider to be the standard braking line. Here they come in on the back straightaway right now as we wait for this to try to pan itself out a little bit. Are we going to get a breather? Are we going to get a moment to catch our breath in all of this battle? It doesn't look like it, because here comes Austin Bartlett Chase around the outside of turn 5. He's going to try to be later on the binders. A little bit squirrely, a little bit of a pinch there with Kelly Greenhoe. Greenhoe's going to be able to keep it together. They're still side by side.
And Ian Cabana's joining the fray as well. This is not just a 3-car fight. Ian Cabana says, you know what? I'm going to fight for this podium as well. You can't keep me away. And he passes Ryan Kings up into turn 6 there. So Cabana is going to try and catch back up here. But first of all, it's Austin Bartlett Chase going for his favorite move in turn 8. Kelly's going to block it off. He's not going to let Austin dive to the inside this time. And they're going to stay single file for once for a moment while Kelly Greenhoe drifts it through turn 8.
I think that's going to give us a little bit of a respite, and that's going to give us a chance here to be able to talk to Mark Kalin very quickly. Mark, looks like it wasn't the best start there for you. What happened, my friend?
I don't know. The car just wouldn't go into gear. I tried something different with taking it off the auto blip and putting it into anti-stall. So I think my issue was I didn't have my foot on the clutch, and I was revving it while trying to put it in gear, and it just didn't work out.
Well, an unfortunate start to the race for you. It's been just a sort of an unlucky season for you on the whole, my friend. What can you take from this one and kind of build on for next year?
Well, I started P3, so it tells me I still got some speed in me, so it makes me feel a little bit better that, I've still got it, but I just got to minimize these mistakes. And next year I'm down back from 4 races to 2 races a week. So hopefully we'll get those mistakes minimized and go fight for some wins and some top 3s and whatnot.
I wish you all the luck in the world, Mark. As a driver who is just out on this track, what's your advice for these guys? What should we be watching for?
Stay off the grass. It'll bite you quick.
Always good advice.
So thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Mark. That was Mark Kalin there. Unfortunately, had a P3, had a rough start to the race. You did just see a little bit of movement there on your screen. David Van Roy working his way this way, and that is the number 64 here of Kevin Bergquist, now trying to hold off an attack from Josh Kimball behind. Both of these drivers doing very, very good on the day. Bergquist up 7, Kimball up 4.
With all that drama in the opening laps, these 2 drivers have really taken advantage. Josh Kimball was, I believe, a debutant in the first round of this season. That was his first, or this has been his first MX-5 season, so he's been learning. He's been doing well. And Bergquist as well. That's a driver who, you know, you don't really see make mistakes. He's a multi-time winner in this series. He's been around, I think, since the very beginning. So if there's anybody you want to be working with on track, if you're a rookie like Josh Kimball, you want it to be Kevin Bergquist. And I think I just saw Pierre Robitaille in the background getting into the wall on the outside of turn 5.
Yeah, it looks like he may have had a little bit of problem down there, and he's lost a position now to David Van Roy and Alex Teeter, so we'll try to get a replay pulled up and figure out exactly what happened there. As here is that replay. Robitaille, ooh, getting it a little bit squirrely coming down into turn 5. I think he was late on the binders, was just trying to avoid hitting anybody there at that point.
Yeah, he did a good job of not hitting Bergquist there. He almost ended up hitting the wall with how aggressively he kind of swerved there. And Austin Bartlett Chase and Ian Cabana made contact at the exit of the carousel. They're able to save it, but these guys have been playing with close quarters for the last 20 minutes, and they finally made contact for the first time, and that's not going to be the last time.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took them that long to make contact, if I'm honest, the way they've been scrapping with each other. And look at this, the 774 of Cabana. He's not done yet. He wants a little bit of Ryan Kings here as they work their way through Kettle Bottoms right now, trying to get onto the binders here. We're not going to see a pass going down into Canada corner, as now it's going to calm itself down. By the way, up in front of this, Kelly Greenhoe has extended by about 1.7 seconds, so he's going to be in clean air as our leader, Jamison Sampaio, is going to come on down into pit lane.
He's clearly seen a gap on track somewhere, and he's going to hope he's going to come out into clean air. I'd be somewhat worried if I was him, because Jeff Parsons might come out right ahead of him. If I was Michael Chase, I would have been staying out there going for an overcut, but Michael comes in as well. That 4-second gap isn't going to make itself up, and Michael Chase thinks the best way to do that is to just match Jamison Sampaio on the strategy here and follow him in. But this whole pack here, Greenhoe and Kings and Cabana and Bartlett Chase, they're all going to stay out here. They're going to keep extending, and their hope is that Sampaio and Chase run into trouble here in traffic.
Yeah, that's exactly what their hope is going to be here at this point. Sampaio finally coming to rest in his box. It is an interminably long pit lane here at Road America, and so that is going to take a long chunk out of the lap. Looks like Sampaio out and on his way with pit stop about 17.3 seconds. That does stick in line with what we've seen. Michael Chase going longer, though, 21.1 seconds. Not good there for the driver of the number 34.
I don't know why he was in the box for so long. I don't think he overfueled the car, because I think you're just fueling the car to the end of the race. It's not really possible to overfuel. But I don't know what happened there. Maybe you checked all 4 tires somehow, but what was once a 4-second gap is now a 7-second gap because of that. So Michael's hopes have kind of fallen even further down, and Kelly Greenhoe and Ryan Kings have closed up to each other, though. So these 4, they might have another lap in the tank. They might be able to work together, and honestly, Kelly Greenhoe might now be in the fight for second place if he can get a good stop compared to Chase.
You read my mind on that one. I was curious to see if Kelly was actually going to be able to stretch a little bit here and maybe put himself into contention for a battle for P2. I think getting into P1 contention is going to be a little bit too far out of the equation here at this point, but certainly a battle for P2 possible. Meanwhile, we keep our eyes focused on this battle between Kings, Cabana, and Bartlett Chase. Throw a blanket over the 3 of them. Oh, now that's going to be a little bit of a wider blanket as Ryan Kings goes off the track. He'll lose 2 positions. Cabana and Bartlett Chase going to be side by side through the kink. Careful. And Austin Bartlett Chase goes off track, but keeps his foot in it and keeps going. Ryan King splitting the difference in between the 2. My goodness, as here comes Ryan Kings down to the inside of Canada corner. Is he going to lose it all and gain it all? Big squiggle there out of the 17 coming under the binders, and Kings is back up into P2.
This is like Road America Rallycross or something. The only letter I think that ABC is thinking about is X right now, because he is just building up those incident points. That's got to be the 5th or 6th time he's run off the track. He does it again through the final corner. He's just trying to get every single inch out of this track to build up his momentum, and he hits the back of Kings. There's 4 more incident points probably.
Oh, and that could be not good there for Austin Bartlett Chase. Did he maybe miss the window to come on down into pit lane? Everybody else around him seems to think this is the time to come on in, and Chase opted not to come in. With only about 13 and a half minutes left to go in this race, that's normally the end of where we see these fuel stops taking place, and this is a very thirsty track, Joey.
If everybody else is bringing it down on this lap, I don't know if Austin has another lap of fuel in the tank. He has to. if he didn't have enough fuel in the tank, he would have done a hard right there. He would have swerved into the pits. He had plenty of time to do so. But this is a bizarre situation where one driver seemingly is able to go further than the rest of the field. I hope we don't see him run out of fuel in the track. I think he's run out of fuel at a previous race this season at the end of the race. All we can do is wait now, and that's all he can do as well for 2 minutes.
Yes, it is. And by the way, it looks like they're in the back. I can see here at this point, Michael Chase is out. Kelly Greenhoe is out as well. And looks like that's all going to sort itself out. Michael Chase still having a pretty sizable advantage on the rest of the field. Here's a good little battle, though. This is St. Aubin and Venero right there. Venero in that teal machine. St. Aubin in the white number 74 there as we watch them work their way around. Looks like St. Aubin's going to be able to hold that out for now, as now they continue to work their way down through Berquist, trying to make this a little bit too wide on Venero here at this point. There's a live view of Matthew St. Aubin looking at the back of that white and black machine.
Distinctively not representing his sponsor, though. Come on, Matthew. I can see that he has the ability to grow facial hair. You can see it. That's not just a shadow on his face, but he's not repping the brand. There's still 10 more days left in November. Come on, Matthew.
Well, speaking on behalf of people who can't grow facial hair, maybe he's just like me. Oh, man.
I mean, I can see there's some follicles on there. I think he has the ability. I think he's not as smooth faced and Hollywood Ken doll like you, DJ.
Well, the only reason I'm a Hollywood Ken doll is because if I try to grow a beard, it just looks ridiculous. But nevertheless, we bring you back to the racing action here out on the track as the number 43 there of Ryan Kings leads over Ian Cabana. Now, we anticipate this will be the battle for around P4 potentially when Austin Bartlett Chase comes down into pit lane. Now, Bartlett Chase could come in. He has made it down into the pits. I'm very, very surprised by this, Joey. He was able to come in and down without looking like that car was sputtering.
I'm dumbfounded. I have no words that Austin Bartlett Chase was able to extend this for a full extra lap, especially with how aggressive he was being. That was not the drive of a driver who was saving fuel for the first 25 minutes of this race. So I don't know how he was able to go one extra lap. Maybe we'll get to talk to him at the end of the race if he ends up finishing on the podium, because I kind of need to know where he got all that fuel from. Maybe he can reveal his secrets to us.
Yeah, he certainly will have to do just that. We keep our eyes on the battle between Kings and Cabana as they work their way up this rising main straightaway right now, trying to see what they are going to be able to do. Keeping my eye here on Austin Bartlett Chase, who is now released out of pit lane. He's going to be coming out of his box. I think he's going to be coming out a little bit behind these two. No, he's going to be just in front of them as he gets up to speed. This is going to be a three-way battle for P4, as there you can see Chase slotting into the back of this fight.
And it is definitely only for P4. Kelly Greenhoe has maintained about a 4-second gap, and he's also maintained about a 6-second gap up to Michael Chase. So the podium is entirely decided here, unless there's a mistake from one of those top three drivers. But P4, that's going to be the hottest ticket on the whole track right now. And you have seen what these three drivers have done to each other. They have done everything they possibly can to fight for this P4. We've seen Ryan Kings get his elbows out. We've seen Austin Bartlett Chase run about twice a wider track than anybody else possibly can in the grass, and Ian Cabana is just kind of the meat in the sandwich. He's running his own race, making no mistakes, and if I had to pick one driver out of those three who's going to end up on top, I'd say it's probably Cabana.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. I think Ian has run a pretty clean race here at this point. We take a look on board Josh Kimball right now as he's involved in another battle with Kevin Berquist here at this point. Berquist looks like he's able to get a little bit of a better run there coming out of turn 6, but that's going to lead him here into the right-hander, going down through 7, trying to catch up as best that he can. This, again, the battle back for 7th place position.
I think Austin Bartlett Chase and Ian Cabana might have just had a little bit of a kerfluffle there. I think I might have cursed Ian Cabana, saying that he was going to be the benefactor of Kings and Bartlett Chase being so aggressive. I think they might have just tripped over each other there, and Ryan Kings now has quite a bit of breathing room for 4th.
Yeah, he's got quite a bit of breathing room, actually, to the tune of about 1.3, 1.4 seconds. So that may be one of our key battles starting to slip away. And this is what happens here. ABC coming down into the corner, really throwing that car down into turn 7. And that is what really separated this battle out here at this point.
Yeah, Ian was kind of doing some self-preservation there. He saw that Austin was so late in the brakes into turn 5 there. He got out of the way. He led Austin to his inside, but as they were both just slowing each other down, trying not to hit each other, they lost all that time up to Kings, and I have to imagine they're still going to be fighting with each other. Cabana's still going to get to the back of Austin Bartlett Chase. Austin Bartlett Chase is still going to be throwing it off the road. This battle is still yet to be decided, even though it has stretched out just a little bit. Cabana's not going anywhere. He's definitely going to catch up to the back of Austin, and they're still both going to try and catch Ryan Kings there because they're not going to let him go without a fight.
No, they certainly are not, but we've got to jump back here to the battle for P7 right now because we've got a little bit of side-by-side going on. Josh Kimball trying to hold off Matthew St. Aubin and Andrew Venaro as here they come down into turn 1 right now. St. Aubin to the inside. That's going to be Kimball getting a little bit slideways, and there it is. He's going to be able to hold on to it here at this point, somehow able to keep everything together. Kimball able to hold that in, but what is this long straightaway here going to do through the Moraine sweep? How is that going to play for Andrew Venaro and Matthew St. Aubin? I can tell you already, Venaro ready to take the chances there. He's going to jump his way up into P9.
Venaro's really the silent top 10 master of this season. The only time we mentioned him in this race was, I think, on lap 1 when he threw it off the road in the kink. Made a rare mistake for him this season, but in the 30 minutes since then, he's gone under the radar. He's just been silently making his way forward. He's made no other big mistakes, and he finds himself in the top 10 for that. That's what Andrew Venaro tends to do best. If anything, he's very, very consistent, and he has done that every single race this season. I don't think he's had a top 10 in every single race this season, but he's certainly had the large percentage of them.
Yeah, he certainly has, and that's going to help him be able to move his way forward as much as possible. I've got to think, as we keep our eyes focused right now on the 978 Josh Kimball, let's see now what Andrew Venaro is able to do to him as they continue to work their way around the track. Looks like he's not going to have much of a run here necessarily, although a little bit of a bobble to the inside there. I think Kimball may have picked up just a little bit of that inside grass, and that could have thrown him out a little bit. That car looking a little bit squiggly here, and that could be the opportunity here that Venaro needs to be able to move his way up into P8.
Through the kink, though, Venaro wasn't very quick for one reason or another. This is an open setup series, so if this was a fixed setup Miata series, if everybody was running the same exact MX-5, you'd kind of expect everybody's run through the kink to be exactly the same. You'd expect it to be flat out. You'd expect it to barely even be a corner, but in this open setup series, when you can change the levels of straight line speed, when you can change how well your car handles through the corners, there's going to be different lines through the kink. There's going to be some drivers who excel in high-speed corners. There's going to be some who struggle more, and I think Venaro might be struggling a little bit more through those high-speed corners. Through the final corner here, he does revitalize himself just a little bit and catch up to the back of Kimball, but through the kink, he was not having a good time.
No, he certainly was not, and that really all comes down to the suspension geometry and how exactly you want to lay the car out, as obviously there's not a lot of downforce to be had in these cars. But right now, Venaro looking like he's on a little bit of a charge. Is that going to be a little bit of a push from behind there from Matthew St. Aubin? Maybe a little bit of a NASCAR-style bump draft coming down into the corner? Yes, it is, and that's going to be Venaro able to get that position, and Matthew St. Aubin able to slide on through as well.
I don't think St. Aubin's going to let him go here, though. He just needs to stick with him here, down to turn 3, not turn 2, because for some reason, as we always talk about every time we go to Road America, turn 2 is not actually a corner, even though it is a corner. And then also turn 4 here, down this second of the 3 straights on this track. Turn 4 is technically a corner, coming under braking into turn 5. That is where Matthew St. Aubin's best chance is going to be, and evidently that's where Ryan Kings' best chance is going to be, and defending from Austin Bartlett Chase, who's caught him once again.
The battle is back on here as Austin Bartlett Chase tries to take a little bit of a look there, going through the inside of turn 6. He's now going to be forced the long way around turn 7 here. Let's see what he is able to do. Here he comes. Let's go. And it looks like ABC's got the move done for now.
Keyword for now there, because we've seen these guys doing this all race long. They've been throwing everything at each other, and That's not going to be the last time things change. That's not going to be the last time one of these drivers makes a mistake. And Ian Cabana, who is kind of fallen off a little bit, he's about 3 seconds behind this battle now, is certainly hoping that they do finally come to blows. They've come very close to doing so. They've done a good job not to hit each other, but it's the last race of the season. It's the last 2 laps of the season at the line. They're going to be giving it everything.
Yeah, they're going to be given an absolutely everything they've got. And remember here that I think if the points swing in just the right way, this could be a team's championship for the Michael Chase Unlimited Slip team there, the Chase Unlimited Slip team. So we'll have to see how that shakes itself out. We'll have to be doing some math fervishly behind the scenes as we watch right now. There comes Kings, continuing to try to press up the best of his abilities to see if he's going to be able to get anything down the main straightaway. Tries to back up the corner a little bit. I think that's probably a good call. Trying to back it up just a little bit and see if he can get the run here into turn 1.
Dark Horse Esports should be good in the team's championship. They had about a 35-point lead over Unlimited Slip coming into tonight, which was mathematically overcomable, if that's a word, but I think they needed a far worse race at Unlimited Slip from Dark Horse Esports. But one Unlimited Slip driver in Austin Bartlett Chase, one Dark Horse driver in Ryan Kings, hitting each other on the front straight, hitting each other in turn 1. They are finally coming to blows.
Bumping and banging and bumping here as they come down through the corners. My goodness gracious, I never thought I would see this much coming together here at Road America, but there you have it. Now to the outside here, it is going to be Austin Bartlett Chase as he tries to hold that out to the best of his abilities. It's going to be a straight drag race here coming down into turn 5. How many times have we seen this play itself out? Who is going to be on the good end? Who is going to be having a little bit of a harder run here? Let's wait and see. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers coming down into the corner. Austin Bartlett Chase looks like he's been able to get a little bit later, but there's the crossover from Ryan Kings.
It was a battle of the late breakers, but it was a battle of the drivers who brake too late as well. And luckily, Ryan Kings braked too late, but he braked less too late than Austin Bartlett Chase did. But again, that's exactly the reverse of what we saw a lap ago, where Ryan Kings did that exact same thing into turn 6. Bartlett Chase switched him back. So both of these drivers are kind of equal in their mistake-itude, if that's a word. They've been making exactly the same mistakes every single lap. They've been continually switching back. I'm sure it's eternally frustrating for all of them, but it's certainly entertaining.
Yeah, it certainly is. We check back on that battle with Matthew St. Aubin, who gets it wrong and collects David Van Roy in the process. Oh, my goodness gracious. We have talked about David Van Roy's bad luck over the course of this season, and it certainly looks like it continues on here tonight.
Yeah, he had nowhere to go there. St. Aubin just completely looped it around in turn 8 there. There's no getting out of a driver if they're spinning in front of you there. Under braking into Canada corner here. Is Austin Bartlett Chase going to send it to the inside again? No, he's actually going to hang back. I think that's a very good strategic move here. There's 2 laps left to go in the race. I think Austin's just going to hang back here until the last possible moment, potentially, and then go for his move on Ryan Kings. Maybe as late as when we get to Canada corner on the next lap, but if I was him, I probably wouldn't wait that long. I'd take the opportunity whenever I can get it, because you never know when you're going to make a mistake and lose the opportunity. So we'll see if he's able to go for it in turn 1 here. Well, and Kings, does he have to pit? No, that was just a defensive move. He scared me for a minute there.
Scared me as well, but speaking of that move that you've got to watch out for and not being able to fall too far over the line, you saw there Austin Bartlett Chase kicking up a lot of grass there on the exit of the corner. That had to have been a little bit of a scary moment there for him, I would have to imagine, but he's able to keep everything together here, and he's going to keep right on behind as they dive down into turn 1 right now, trying to see what they are able to get. As here they come, working down. Here comes the move from ABC. He's going to look down to the inside, and I think maybe there Joey Ryan Kings let him go. I think he recognized that battle was already lost.
Not letting him go anymore, though. They're going to fight side by side to turn 5. Josh Kimball in the background has brought it down pit lane. I think he might have underfueled the car because he has stopped in his box, so that's not a penalty. But things have gone terribly wrong for Josh Kimball, who was going for a top 10. But here comes Austin Bartlett Chase again. It's a battle of the late breakers again. Hopefully Austin can be a little bit less late in the brakes. He can actually get it stopped into turn 5 this time. He does. He's going to switch it back on Kings. He's not going to be able to go for the move into turn 6, I don't think, unless he decides to go very aggressive. He doesn't go for it. I think he's going to wait for Canada corner.
Yeah, I think he is as well. Gets a good line there. This is the closest battle, by the way. Sampaio, Michael Chase, and Ryan Kings up at the front of this field, absolutely running away with it here at this point. As here they come. Austin Bartlett Chase thinking about a little bit of a move there down into turn 8. Not going to happen. A little bit squirrely there under braking, though, for Ryan Kings as they get onto the loud pedal, now headed into the carousel.
It's a little bit like the DRS games they play in F1 sometimes. There's no DRS in the MX-5s. You know, is that fortunate or unfortunate? I don't know, but Austin Bartlett Chase is just trying to stick back behind Ryan Kings right now. He's got to maximize the gap and also minimize the gap so he can get the run out of the kink and make sure he times this perfectly so he's able to get wherever he can be, the inside, the outside. As long as he's alongside Ryan Kings coming into Canada corner, he has a shot to steal this 4th place away. Kings is going to block to the inside. No surprise there. We'll see if Austin can go around the outside.
Here he comes. He's going to have to be later on the binders to make this work. He's very late on the binders. Does he make the corner? Oh my goodness, he does. Shooting by Ryan Kings like he was standing still. A great move from Austin Bartlett Chase as your leader, Jamison Sampaio, crosses over the line to take victory in not only today's race, but the championship here today. Michael Chase will follow him home in 2nd. Kelly Greenhoe there just up the road in 3rd. Let's see, though, if Austin Bartlett Chase has got a last lap attack coming here from Ryan Kings. Kings is going to try to use as much of that draft as possible. They're going to run to the line here as they go. It's not going to be enough, and Austin Bartlett Chase will hold on to P4.
I'm surprised that both of those drivers had enough incident points left to actually finish that race. It was just an incredible battle between those two. There were a lot of mistakes from both of them, of course, but they both ended up bringing it home, and they didn't take each other out. That's what's most important. Looks like David Van Roy, I think he was definitely heavily damaged with that contact from Matthew St. Aubin, and unfortunately he hasn't been able to bring it to the line. So good old Pete Thomas, haven't mentioned his name once tonight. He's kept it alive. He's going to bring it to the line, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this is definitely going to be Pete Thomas's first top 10 of the season. I think his best result was in round 6, and that was a P12. So Pete Thomas gets his first top 10.
Well, there you go. A great way to end out the series if you are named Pete Thomas. Absolutely fantastic there for him to be able to see that as we've got the last couple of drivers here working their way across the line. Bad news for fans of Alex Teeter, as I believe he has run out of fuel coming down into the final corners, as here is the 00 right now of Tony Patty, the last driver here, one of the last drivers to be able to wrap up the lap. Tony will actually pass by Alex Teeter here in just a few moments' time. You'll actually be able to see him on your screen as there he should be flashing right into view, right under the camera. You just saw a little blip of him there, but Patty going to go up into P13 for the day.
Get some good screen time here for all those Patty heads. Just bringing it home here, nice and easy. You should get a free position from David Van Roy here. He'll get P12 out of this, but I think Tony might actually be out of fuel here potentially because that car is. I don't have my sound on, honestly. I can't hear if he's sputtering, but yeah, he's sputtering. He's out of fuel.
Oh no, as he's out of fuel here and you've got to go uphill to try to get to this start-finish line. I'm not sure if that 00 is going to make it, if there's just enough built-in momentum. Come on, Tony. Come on, buddy. Come on, you got this. Get it a little bit more. The Sperati Motorsports driver, the 00, inching his way towards the line. He's going to be close on this. He is still moving. He's coming closer. I think he's just barely going to make it. Not trying to move the wheel too much. And there he comes to the line.
Let's go.
Perseverance pays off for Tony Patty. You love to see it.
Drive of the season.
Drive of the season, as it does look like that a couple other drivers are not going to be able to make it on fuel. But Jamison Sampaio, as we said, takes the win, takes the championship on the season. Michael Chase comes behind him in P2 with Kelly Greenhoe in P3. Then it's Austin Bartlett Chase and Ryan Kings to round out your top 5. That battle never stopped through the entirety of the race. Ian Cabana in P6, Kevin Berquist, Andrew Venara, Matthew St. Aubin, and Pete Thomas. That was a very, very close battle as well. In 11th, it was Josh Kimball, followed by Tony Patty, then Alex Teeter, David Van Roy, and Jeff Parsons. A couple of those drivers having problems on the last lap, and then these drivers having some problems over the course of the running. Foster, Gallinotto, Robitaille, and Mark Kalin. And that's going to go ahead and bring us right into our podium interviews. And first and foremost, it is your victor and your series champion, Jameson Sampaio. Jameson, congratulations.
Hello, Clark. Hello, everyone. I feel great for my first championship on PRL League.
Well, Jameson, talk me through this race. It looked like you didn't qualify all that well, but once you got to the front, there was no stopping you.
This week, I'm sick and I don't have time for practice. I need some points for these championships.
Gotcha. Well, Jameson, I hope you feel better, my friend, and I hope you get some rest in the offseason. Are we going to see you back to defend the title next season?
I prefer to participate because I have a school driving and I'm no time left, but I try.
Well, I hope to see you out there as much as possible. Jameson, anybody you'd like to thank for the championship here tonight?
Of course, and my family, and my wife Tati Sampaio, and my grandmama Marcia Duarte, and my son Enzo Sampaio, and my students, all. For all. Thanks. I'm really happy. See you next time.
All right, we'll see you, Jameson. Thank you so much, and congratulations once again. That was Jameson Sampaio, your victor and series champion. And Joey, it looks like you've been able to catch up with P2, Michael Chase.
Indeed, indeed. P2 in the race, Michael Chase, and P2 in the championship as well, by my calculations. It's been a pretty good season for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been a good season. Thanks. I really liked it. Kind of wanted to have a little bit better run today, but congrats to Jameson, of course. No mistakes there, so great drive from him.
How was it fighting with Jameson for those couple of laps, and what caused the separation there? I think we saw a little bit of it. I think we saw you clip the gravel a little bit, but what were you thinking there with in the battle with Jameson? What caused the mistake?
Well, I think I made the old mistake of just looking at my mirror too much, and I don't know why, because I figured he'd get me eventually anyway. I just told myself I needed to drive, but anyway, I just kind of slipped in, what's it called, Canada corner there a little bit, and managed to keep it pointed the right direction and keep going, but yeah, that's what happened.
Well, at the end of your third season, you got your first pole finally, second in the championship. Are you going to be back for more MX-5s next season?
Planning on it, got signed up, so looking forward to racing with this group.
All right, we look forward to seeing you back. And before I kick you out, it's been a PRL tradition for the past couple of days, talking about family Thanksgiving traditions. What's going to be on the Chase family table that might be special?
Oh, we got tons of stuff going on. So I think one of the things we're going to do is go to go into town and there's a little bit of a festival in town, lighting of the tree and stuff like that, and then we're going to do some fondue, which is kind of a holiday tradition for us.
Fondue.
Yeah.
Good old Minnesota fondue. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks for the next season.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving.
That was Mr. Michael Chase indeed, and it looks like we've got P3 as well, DJ. It's a whole party here. Kelly Greenhouse here.
Kelly, looked like a pretty action-packed first part of that race for you, and then things quieted down a little bit near the end.
Yeah, what's up, fellas? It's been a while. I haven't had the old podium interview in quite some time, it feels like. Yeah, it was a good start. Obviously missing Kevin tonight, so me and Ryan knew we had to just do our thing and secure the team championship. And yeah, had a good couple lap, different little battles here and there. Leapfrogged with Ryan a little bit, held off Austin a little bit. It was a good race.
Yeah, it was a good race indeed. And so talk to me a little bit about the decision to pit. It seemed like strategy was a little bit more wide open than I originally thought it was going to be.
Yeah, we're usually the early pitters. The last several weeks, I really had a problem getting just blown past at the end of the race. So I was thinking maybe if I go a little longer and then let the tires cool and swap those left sides, and have them fresh for the last like 10 to 15 minutes rather than the last 22 or whatever when we were pitting early, that it might help towards the end. And the tires just felt good at about a lap or two before pitting. So I told Ryan, my tires feel the best they have all race, so I'm going to do at least another. And then said the same thing, did one more. And then could have maybe squeezed in one more. I think Austin or someone I saw go after we did, but my crew chief was telling me it would have been way too tight.
Yeah, it was Austin that managed to eke that out, and we were pretty amazed at that as a whole. But you're able to walk away from this season with the team's championship based off our calculations, which I know was a big, big goal for you guys. We're going to see you back next season, and what kind of goals what are you planning on?
Still undecided. Kind of waiting to see what happens with the Pro-Am split or if they drop the 86 in the next update. So I guess just kind of in limbo for now. I don't think there's any way we're getting 50 plus signed up to do the split. So kind of just waiting to see what happens with the car and the rest of the list. But I'm pretty confident I'll be back. I usually can't stay away.
Well, I, for one, hope you stick around, Kelly. It's always good to see you race, but you know the drill. Who makes this possible for you?
You guys. If you guys are still doing this, that will much likely increase my chances of coming back. Thanks to everyone at the PRL, RaceSpot, VCO, my teammates, of course, Ryan and Kevin. Hell of a time racing. Trying to communicate on like Discord during the race with 3 people might not sound like a lot, but holy cow, that was something new to learn. And we had nothing but laughs, even mid-race, a little bit of ups and downs, but it was a hell of a time. And again, hats off to you guys for doing this broadcast week in and week out.
Kelly, thank you so much. Congratulations again on the podium. We'll hopefully see you next season.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. That was Kelly Greenhoe, your third place finisher. And now we have caught up, Joey, you have at least, with Tony Patty.
Indeed, the final MX-5 driver we talked to this season, and who better than the fuel master himself, Tony Patty. Tony, how far forward in your chair were you? Oh, we've lost Tony Patty. Bad luck. We'll see if Tony can get rejoined here. And in the nick of time, we do have a replacement. We have his Spratty Motorsport teammate, Alex Teeter, as well. I'll drag Alex in here for the moment. Heck, I'll drag Tony in while we're at it. Can both of you guys hear me? Do both of you guys have a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, we got Alex Teeter. I think Tony might be having some tech issues, but Alex, Spratty Motorsport, I think this was your first season, the PRL MX-5s as a team. Got some pretty solid results out of it. How's your what are your takeaways from the season?
Well, I joined kind of late, so it took me a little bit to get up to speed on the car and figure out the setup. Finally felt like I was on the pace this race, and looking forward to next season, even if this race ended on a strange note.
It definitely did end on a little bit of a strange note, but you mentioned next season. You were teetering on the edge of some good results this season, pun intended. What are you looking forward to most next season?
Next season, consistency. Now that I'm starting to figure out the car and figure out a little bit of how to race with these guys here, I think I can start racking up some top 10s and top 5s.
All right, we wish you good luck next season. We wish you a happy Thanksgiving in a couple days, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, thanks, guys.
Alex Teeter of Spratty Motorsport, and Tony Patty was here in spirit. He knows how much we love his fuel games. But there's a whole nother race at Road America to come, DJ. It doesn't get any better than that.
No, it certainly does not. That's right. We have got the GT4 fixed Sprint Series here live from Road America, ready to get rolling at you here. The second in our PRL doubleheader on Monday night for RaceSpotTV. Qualifying has about 5 minutes left to go in it, so let's quickly run you through the schedule here, where we've been, bringing us up to this point. It has been a doozy of a season, taking us all over from Okayama to Sandown to Oschersleben and everywhere in between. A fantastic showcase for all of these GT4 machines. Let's run you over to the points championship as well, because the drivers championship still a little bit close at the top. Michael Diaz holding off by about 14 points there over Adam Brockway. Justin Ream still within striking distance if something were to go wrong for the top two. Francis Castillo-Romero sits in fourth, followed by Patrick Bachelard, Dean Giroux, Jean-Marc Tremblay, Darren Rutherford, Frankie Arvello, and Fernando Yaquez there in your top 10. It's a little bit more spread out, though, when we talk about the teams championship, as Precision Racing Esports Pro has locked down that championship up at the top. Credits to them. YS Motorsports sits in second, followed by Advan Racing, Precision Racing Esports Academy in fourth place. Can-Am Racing, then SRT Esports, then a little bit of a close battle between Valhalla and HPDS Academy, then a very close battle between Hardpoint by Delta Sport and hashtag Monkey Butt Rides MRT. And that, Joey, is going to bring us to the qualifying action here at Road America, and it is this man, driver of the number 72, the oftentimes seen driver in the PRL GT3 series. He had a great run last time until a little bit of bad luck caught him out. Teddy Lowendick on the top of the charts.
He's decided to pick up the GT4s in the last two races of this season. Just, have a little bit more fun on Monday nights. Why the heck not? Representing Ohio, as is apparently everybody else in the sim racing world. Did he just improve on that last lap? No, he did not. He was 1.3 seconds slower on that lap, but he doesn't need to find any more time because he's still got 1.5 tenths over Adam Brockway.
Yeah, he certainly does. Has about 0.135 seconds as they run. Gabriel Gignac doing a great job up in P3. The Aston Martin's looking particularly strong here as Justin Ream now able to put a time that is good enough for third best. The rest of your top five is Patrick Bachelard back in P5 here at this point, but looks like that Mercedes could have a little something for us here today with Ted Lowendick behind the wheel. Obviously, a pretty big gap to be taken care of. Adam Brockway looks like he has parked the car here at this point with lap times of about 2 minutes and 14 seconds. That is going to be his qualifying session done, but Ream, Gignac, Bachelard, Lockwood, and Diaz all still out on track. They have got time to run. The big surprise here, P10, Francis Castillo-Romero, not what we would expect there out of him.
And Michael Diaz, P7, is a surprise as well. So both of those Precision Racing Esports BMWs evidently not working very well here at Road America. I think they're running a Sebastian Vettel tribute there with the German flag sticking out of the nose of that BMW. So maybe that'll bring Michael Diaz a little bit of luck. But he comes into this week 14 points ahead of Adam Brockway in the championship. If the race finished like they qualified right now, Diaz would still win the championship. But the thing is, if you put yourself deeper in the field in the start, if you're starting 7th instead of at the head of the field like Diaz usually is, you're far more susceptible to getting caught in an incident. You're far more susceptible to getting involved in some sort of kerfluffle on lap 1. And if Michael Diaz does get involved in something and finishes in the deep teens or in the 20s, suddenly Adam Brockway is looking at the championship.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Even at a wide open circuit like this, you don't want to run the risk of getting yourself involved in any kind of incident right off the downbeat. Jose Lockwood is able to be able to put in a good time there. That's going to be an improvement for Jose, but not good enough to move him up the order. He'll stay in 6th right now. As there, we've got a couple of drivers coming across the line. Looks like Diaz not going to be able to improve, but with about 20 seconds left on the clock, he'll have one more crack at it here. Couple of drivers working together here at this point. It looks like everybody trying to just see what they're able to do to get the best times that they can. The draft going to be just as crucial here in these GT4 machines, I would have to imagine, although we've got to talk about the aero wash this time around.
Dreaded aero wash. We do finally have to talk about it. The GT4 cars are not the most down 4C cars. They're a little bit brickish. They still have aero, though. They still have aero that can lead to aero wash, especially through the carousel, through those high-speed corners. You definitely don't want to be running directly behind a car to improve your qualifying lap time. But these two BMWs of Gignac and Bachelard they are going to run together. They're going to run together down the back straight as well. And if Bachelard just picks up 2 or 3 tenths here, which he very well might get in the draft behind Gignac, he could be in conversation for the pole here. He could be in conversation for beating Adam Brockway off of that front row in the fellow Aston Martin. These Aston Martins have been very, very strong here. They've been the car to have in a straight line. We saw them be so strong at Daytona, and that still seems to be the case here.
Yeah, it certainly does. We'll have to see if they are able to pick up that nice little bit of run. Bachelard and Gignac working together here at this point, trying to see what they are able to do. The checkered flag is in the air here for qualifying, which means that this lap will be their last here at this point. But here comes the 249 coming out of the final corner. Looks like they were both able to get through that nice and cleanly here at this point. Looking at the tracking numbers, I'm seeing some improvement as they come to the checkered flag. Who's going to be able to improve? Is Bachelard going to be able to do it? Yes, they both are. Bachelard up into P2, Gignac up into P3.
Good old double Aston Martin jump. That's not good for Adam Brockway. He needs to be as high up in the field as he can be to just extend that gap to Michael Diaz. And suddenly he finds himself on row 2. Marvin Frias, I think, has actually passed Michael Diaz for position on track. I don't know if Diaz is actually getting a draft here or if he let Marvin by. Let's see, have either of them actually helped each other coming to the line? Marvin, I don't think he's going to improve. Diaz tried to steal a little bit of the draft, but he's not going to improve as well. I think he definitely fell behind Frias on that lap.
Yeah, I think he did as well. Just a couple of other drivers here coming to the line. Is Ted Lowendick going to practice that pit in here? Here's the number 35 machine. This is Brett Puncari as he's going to come across the line. The Princess Peach liveried machine. He will cross over there. I'm not sure if that is an improvement.
Daisy, not Peach. How dare you?
Darn it, I did it again. I was so confident. It was
me last time, but we're finally evening out the load.
There we go. Brett was able to improve by a couple of positions there, and I believe that is going to be all drivers said and done here for qualifying, as Ted Lowendick will be on pole position, followed by Patrick Bachelard. Gabriel Gignac will be in P3, followed by Adam Brockway. Then it's going to be Justin Ream and Jose Lockwood there in P6. P7 will be Michael Diaz and Fernando Jaquez, with row 5 being Darren Rutherford and Francis Castillo-Romero. He's going to be having to do a lot to move his way up forward. Marvin Frias will be in P11, followed by Matthew Miles in P12. P13, series organizer Joan Berthiaume and Frankie Arvello there in P14. Drew Lidke will line up 15th with Hardy Mercedes to his outside, and Sean Mulholland and William Brennan behind them. Brett Puncari lines up in 19th in that Princess Daisy-inspired machine, with Corey Clark in 20th, Liam Park 21st, Matthew Wyckoff 22nd, and Brian Hoskins, tail end Charlie, on the back of the field. Well, we saw just how crucial it was, Joey, to be able to keep within that effective draft range in the MX-5 race. Do you anticipate a lot of the same here for these GT4s?
It's not going to be as much of a pack race as it was in the MX-5s, or as what it would be in the MX-5s, frankly, because these cars are just quite a bit faster. You saw them 20 seconds faster than the MX-5s in qualifying there. So they're not going to be able to pack up to each other as much as the MX-5s would be, but the draft is still going to be very important. You're still going to see drivers stuck together, and you're definitely going to see what we normally see in this GT4 series, which is the drivers, in that lead pack, in that lead train of sorts. Some of the ones at the back, they're probably not going to go for the aggressive moves early. They're going to hang back. They're going to save a little bit of fuel when they can, and they're going to wait for the pit cycle to come around with about 15 minutes left to go, and they're going to hope that those critical tenths of a second, those tenths of a gallon of fuel, bringing down their pit time, will be what actually makes the difference for them in track position.
Well, how many times have we seen that? How many times have we seen that fuel really be the crucial thing there? As we take a look at the iRacing pace car as well as the track conditions right there, 77 degrees Fahrenheit in the air, 78 degrees Fahrenheit on track. A little bit clearer skies than we saw in the MX-5 race, so that'll help things up a little bit. But Joey, my mind is really keeping fixated here on that 14 miles an hour of wind here at this point. That has a big potential here for these drivers, not only with a little bit of buffeting coming through the corner, but also, I think, a little bit of headwind and tailwind down these straightaways.
Yeah, the wind always makes things difficult. You might not think it would affect the cars this much because they're heavy GT4 cars. They're basically road cars, but it does certainly affect you, especially at Road America, where you're braking into the wind at turn 1, then you're braking the opposite direction at turn 5, then the opposite direction again, all the way through the track. So it's very, very difficult to manage. But I think one driver we can definitely talk to get some answers to that question. We have a full pace lap at Road America. I always hate full pace laps at Road America because they take like 5 minutes, and my mind doesn't like that. But we have our pole sitter here, Ted Lowendick. Ted, how do you think the wind's going to affect you? Tell us about the wind. Mr. Ted Lowendick, pole sitter, do you have a copy? Oh dear. The audio issues for Ted always strike at the worst times. We had a 5-minute pace lap to fill, and poor old Ted, that microphone doesn't like him, does it?
No, it certainly does not. That just means we'll have to do a little bit of our own filler here, I think, Joey. But, you know, we talked a little bit earlier about the car differences here. The Aston Martin, I think, is going to be the one to really watch out for here. 3 up in the top 4 at this point. We know that car is particularly slippery in a straight line. We know it's a really, really good car at those higher speeds, and well, this is a bit of a power circuit, so that certainly could help it.
It definitely can help it, and you can see the effects of it in qualifying. 3 out of the top 4 are Aston Martins. The Aston Martin is definitely the car you want to have in a straight line here, but my question is it also going to be the car you want to save a little bit of fuel? Is it going to be less fuel thirsty, or is it going to be more fuel thirsty with how fast it is in a straight line? We know the Mercedes, with how new it is very, very good at saving fuel. We know you can drive that car in a very, very delicate way and save all sorts of fuel. So if you're Ted Lowendick, you might see a sea of Aston Martins behind you. You might be a little bit worried about their straight line speed, but you're probably in a good position either way.
Yeah, that would have to be my guess as well. I mean, that Mercedes isn't exactly a slouch when it comes to running in a straight line, so that certainly may help it. And just think about the difference that a little bit of time makes here. I mean, last season, we would have been just singing the praises here of the BMW, absolutely going on and on about that car, and it just doesn't have the straight line grunt that it did last year.
Oh, the change to a fixed setup series, I think, has kind of cursed them. They can't play with their own setups now. They have to deal with what iRacing has done to that BMW, and evidently it has not worked out very well for them. We've got about a straightaway to go. I'm going to try Ted Lowendick one more time here. Ted, can you hear us now? All right, I think that's a lost cause. We're going to have to leave him to his own devices here to get ready to start this race on pole. He actually did send me a message a couple of seconds ago. He said, "What do I do?" Because he's not used to starting on pole. He's only had 1 pole in his PRL career before. That was in a GT3 race, but he's finally made it to 2 poles. He starts on pole for the 2nd time in his career, tied with some other drivers who have 2 poles, you know, Julio Palacio, Jerome Bertiome, Ryan Pucktel, Joey Tebben. You might know some of those guys.
Well, there you go, joining elite company there, certainly with yourself up in that mix. But I'll give you the advice here, Teddy. It's pretty easy. When you see the green, press that pedal on the right as hard as it will go. But right now, it looks like they're working their way through Bill Mitchell Bend here at this point, slowly but surely bringing these cars on to the main straightaway to get ready to run here at Road America for the season finale. Still a lot to be decided on the line here for these drivers as Ted Lowendick brings the field around the final corner, looking up the hill. iRacing pace car scampering off down pit lane, and it looks like Ted starting to get on the loud pedal. He's on it, and there goes the green. We are racing here at Road America. It is a very, very good getaway from Ted Lowendick. Those 3 Aston Martins starting to fan out a little bit behind. Gignac leading Bachelard by just a little bit. Now Justin Ream going to start getting involved in this as well. Oh, a little bit of a squirrely moment there under braking. They're going to fly down into the first corner. Noah's Ark style 2x2, and that's going to be Bachelard way off.
And that was Brockway getting turned into turn 1. Adam Brockway. No, that was not Adam Brockway. False alarm. Adam Brockway is still on the road, but Bachelard gets turned around now by Michael Diaz.
Oh, my goodness. And Diaz, we talked about how he was going to have to be in full attack mode to try to move himself up through the order. Well, now he finds himself back down into 7th, having started 7th and moved his way up to 5th. A lot of movement here in the order. Justin Ream starting to threaten there a little bit on Brockway as they go down into turn 1, or turn 5 rather, looking for the over-under. There was the Porsche driver. He's going to stick to the rear end right now, try to poke his nose to the inside, see if he's able to get that to go as they cross over into turn 6. Let's see what's able to fly out here. It doesn't look like Ream's going to be able to get it to go into turn 7, and he's going to have to fall back into line.
That was Jose Lockwood, by the way, who you saw getting turned into turn 1 on lap 1. It was not Brockway. Justin Ream dives in on Brockway in turn 8, but he throws it off the road. Ryan King's Austin Bartlett chase style, and things have suddenly switched back. So Brockway's still alive in 3rd. Michael Diaz also critically has survived lap 1. He was the driver who ended up getting into Patrick Bachelard there, but it's not heavy damage for Diaz. He's not deep in the field. He's still very much in control of his destiny in the championship right now.
Yeah, he finds himself in 6th place position here at this point, 1 up from where he started, so that'll be good running for him. We keep our eyes focused on Justin Ream right now. He's got to worry about Marvin Frias there behind him. Frias only about a half second back as they dive into Canada corner here for the first time. Little bit of battling going on farther back down into the field. Here is that contact. Joey, you saw this happen. Talk us through it.
Well, Jose just kind of doesn't really give any room to that Mercedes on the outside there. I think that might have been Artie Mercedes. I don't know which Mercedes that was, but either way, no, actually that was Fernando Jaquez who ended up getting squeezed off there by Lockwood, but that's a turn 1 thing. You don't necessarily, if you haven't been used to running in a pack of cars, if you haven't been used to running into turn 1 too wide, it's so easy to just wash out a little bit wide there and run into somebody. And unfortunately for Jose, it ended up getting him turned into a very hard concrete wall, and his race is basically over before it even started.
And there goes Justin Ream down into turn 1. He's been working on that move for the pretty much entirety of the race here at this point. He finally gets it done. Now he's going to set his sights up ahead on Gabriel Gignac, but the problem is for Justin rather, is he finds himself about 1.9 seconds back behind the battle for P1. So he is certainly going to have to work at this here to try to close back in, and really is the highest placed Porsche in the field. We're going to get a very, very good sense of just what that car is able to do.
Justin is probably really hoping that Gabriel and Ted are going to fight up front, but they're not going to do that. You saw Gabriel Gignac back out on the front straight. He stayed behind Ted Lowendick. He saved a little bit of fuel. He's going to do exactly that, I think, until the first pit cycle comes around in about 20 minutes. Gabriel is on pace with Ted Lowendick. He's basically equal. He's not going to fall back if he just rides in line here. He's going to do exactly that and save a little bit of fuel. That's not good for Justin Ream, because that means that gap likely isn't going to come down unless Justin can find a way to be faster than the 2 drivers who outqualified him in race pace.
Well, we'll have to see. The gap has come down just a little bit here at this point. It's dipping down to about 1.6 seconds, 1.7 seconds. So maybe he's got a little bit of outright pace that he's holding in the bag. We'll have to wait to find out. A couple of cars getting a little bit squirrely there off of the exit of the carousel, but able to hold everything back in together. We continue to follow Diaz as that's an off in front of him for Marvin Frias. Frias trying to avoid becoming an absolute wrecking ball across the track. Diaz is going to be able to get on through, but that accident just seemed like it kept going forever for Frias.
And it's still not over. Ryan Miles is trying to get through. Fernando Jaquez makes contact with Marvin Frias under braking there. That was the wreck that never ended. And Frias, I don't know if he's okay right now. That was a hard hit to the concrete wall. That McLaren definitely might be a little bit broken. He looks okay. Under braking, it looks like it's moving straight, so I think he got away with that, but that was a terrifying moment for Marvin Frias, and I'm sure it was even more terrifying for Michael Diaz behind. Let's ride on board with him through the kink, just a little bit too wide in the grass, hits a bump. He definitely hit that wall. That McLaren is definitely not going to be braking in a straight line. Let's see, is the steering wheel straight? The steering wheel's kind of straight, but that car is going to be struggling, even if it does look okay for the moment.
Yeah, I think there may be just the minorest of suspension damage on that McLaren potentially. But yeah, as you said, lucky day for Diaz to be able to avoid that. He now has a little bit of pressure from behind from Francis Castillo-Romero, his one-time title rival, as Castillo-Romero is closing in behind there. The battle up the front of the field has maintained. Nothing changing around there. This is one of our closest battles out on track right now as Diaz leads Castillo-Romero. Oh, as soon as I say that, we've got to move for the lead. Gignac going for the lead up into turn 5.
Gabriel says, you know what? This fuel-saving strategy is not working for me. Justin Ream was bringing that gap down, and He elects to make the move and try and scamper away from Ted Lowendick. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that, though. He certainly thinks that he's the quicker of the two. He definitely thinks he's going to be able to run away. That's why he went for the move, but now the shoe is on Ted Lowendick's foot right now to see if he can stick with Gignac and maybe siphon a little bit of fuel off him from behind.
Yeah, and this has really allowed for Ream to be right into this battle now here at this point. He is going to be only about 0.6 of a second behind as they run, and so that means that it's going to be prime position for Justin Ream to do exactly what you said. Save a little bit of fuel here, potentially be in that position to take full advantage of the draft and keep him as close as possible to those drivers in front of him. So that's going to be good running there for him as they continue to go. Working down into the corner. I think by the flip side of this, it doesn't look like that Teddy Lowendick necessarily has any inclination to try to lead his way ahead here. I think he's relatively content to be back down in second.
Yeah, he might be content for now to run in second, but I don't know what Ted's thinking right now. Has he been talking with his teammates? Has he been talking to Sean Campbell about running GT4s at Road America and thinking about the strategy later on in the race? I don't know. We did see Gabriel Gignac make a mistake into the final corner, so that's going to bring Ted Lowendick back into the clutches of that battle for the lead. So we'll see if he actually goes for another move on track or if he sticks back into turn one here. He's closing, but he's not closing enough, and you could see him lift off a little bit earlier there into turn one. I think he's saving fuel when he can get it, but if he gets a shot into turn 5, I have to imagine he'll go for it.
Yeah, I think that's got to be your mentality here all the way around is you save fuel when you can, but if you get the right run, if you get a good run, you absolutely have to take your chance at that run. As here they go here at this point, trying to see what he's going to be able to do, waiting to see if they are able to get the move here. Is Teddy Lowendick maybe a little bit of a look to the inside? No, Teddy's going to stay just in line, and crucially here, they're dropping Adam Brockway behind them. Brockway is now finding himself just out of effective draft range, back about 1.1 seconds from this battle. So this is starting to turn into a 3-horse race.
And Brockway sees his championship rival behind him right now, so he knows that he might not win the championship right now. He's definitely he had hopes coming into tonight that he could win the championship. He saw that 14-point gap. He knew that if something went wrong for Diaz, he would still be in with a shot. But right now, he's not in control of his own destiny. He just needs to hope that something happens to Michael Diaz, and all Adam Brockway can do right now is run his own race, try and get a win to close out the season, and anything else I think will just be a bonus for him.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there on that, and that's such a hard thing to do as a driver, to just squeeze all of that out of your mentality, all of that out of your brain, and just focus on what is on the road ahead of you. But that is exactly what these drivers have to do, and it's one of the things that makes them so very incredible to watch, is their ability to do just that, to just focus in on the road. As now it looks like Teddy Lowendick is going to have to be doing a little bit of extra focus here, as that is behind him, the number 912 of Justin Ream, looking very, very threatening.
Justin wants to break up these two. I don't know if he's going to be content to run in third, because he didn't have the best qualifying pace of any of these three drivers. He might have not had a draft or something, but in the race right now, Justin Ream looks to be the fastest of these three drivers up front. He's going to close up to the back of Ted Lowendick. He's not going to give him a bump draft. He is going to peek to the inside. I don't know if he's going to be completely along. He is going to be alongside into turn one. He's going to make the move easy because Ted just completely backed out of that one and said, you know what, Justin, you can take this one and you can go up and fight Gabriel Gignac for the lead too, as long as you're keeping me in the fight here.
Yeah, and I think that is more indication here that Teddy Lowendick is in position to just sit back and wait, as it were. Now, this has allowed for Adam Brockway to get back involved in this conversation. Brockway now sits about 0.7 of a second behind Teddy Lowendick, so he'll be able to pull himself in. Now, Diaz is about 2.5 seconds behind all of this here as they run, so that's going to be good news here for Brockway. He does not want his title rival breathing down his neck.
He's just trying to think about his own race right now. That's been the struggle for Adam Brockway this season, has been the strategy, actually. So that'll come into consideration for in about 15 minutes. He hasn't really been the kind of a driver who necessarily makes mistakes when he's under pressure, when there's a driver behind him trying to pressure him. He's made a couple, but who hasn't? But my worry for Adam Brockway is in about 15 minutes from now. There's just been a consistent streak of Brockway strategies not going well. He's either in the box for like 5 seconds longer than anybody else, or he forgets to uncheck something, or something just goes terribly wrong. And I hope Adam Brockway has got all those kinks out here for the final race.
Yeah, I hope he does too. The last thing he needs to see is anything slip away from him here or there as we get a live look at Teddy Lowendick. Looks like he's got a snack corner there behind him. That is the offering of the day for him. As he now dives down into Canada corner. Little bit of a close run there for Janak as it looked like he kicked up a little bit of dust at the apex of the corner. But both Ream and Lowendick still looking pretty happy to just pace on behind here as we're about 11 minutes down in this 40-minute race. So just about over a quarter done here today.
Those are all cheese-themed snacks, by the way, behind Ted. That's a repeated bit. He did that when we went to Road America in the GT3s earlier this season, but I think there was a change. There were actually some Sargento cheese sticks there, so it's relevant to the track, but there's going to be a change for the lead because Justin Ream, he's going for it. He's going to be side-by-side with Gabriel Gignac into Turn 1. He's going to be clear of him into Turn 1, and that's our third new leader in about 4 laps.
All right, so what is Justin Ream going to do now as he takes the position up at the front of the field? And look, this has just allowed for everybody to bunch up behind him. Janak, Lowendick, and Brockway running 1, 2, 3, 4 here at this point. My question's going to be, though, is if Ream is going to be able to escape here a little bit, or even if he wants to escape. Does Gabriel want to get back into the lead of this race? Are there some more fuel-saving shenanigans that we are going to keep seeing? There is plenty still to be decided here and plenty for us to figure out. Doesn't look like anybody's going to take the run there into Turn 5. It does look like behind them as well that battle is stagnated as well. So this is indeed the battle we've got to keep our eyes on.
I think Gabriel might want this win anybody, or more than anybody out of the top 4 here. If I had to pick anybody, it would probably be Gabriel because this would be his first win in the PRL. Everybody else has won races. Ted Lowendick hasn't won a race in GT4s, but he's won a GT3 race. He's won 2 GT3 races, actually. Justin Ream's won in this series. Adam Brockway's won in this series. Michael Diaz has won in this series. Gabriel Gignac, though, has never gotten a win. That first win is always the sweetest, and he's definitely going to throw everything at it to get that done. He's also representing Advan Racing, who had a bad start because Patrick Batchelard got turned around on lap 1, but they're still trying to fight for, I think, P5 in the team's championship.
Yeah, I
P2.
believe they are. Yeah, P2. So everything's still alive here for a lot of these drivers. They certainly do not want to let up the fight anytime soon. With 26 minutes left to go, it looks like none of these drivers want to lead at this point. They're all relatively content to just hold in line here and save a little bit of fuel. Is this going to end up hurting Justin Ream? Is he going to be in a position where he is now going to be having to pay the piper a little bit farther on in the race? That would be my concern. I would have understood the move from Ream if he had made it right as he was going to jump down into pit lane, but I think leading here at this point is a little bit of concern.
I think he saved a little bit when he was running in third for the opening 5 or 6 laps of the race, but yeah, when you decide to go for the lead, you are guaranteed to just spend a little bit more fuel because you can't lift behind another driver. You've got to be full attack in the lead of the race, and you've got no draft help to bring you forward. Marvin Frias in a miraculously undamaged McLaren is actually fighting back on Mr. Matthew Miles now into Turn 1. Miles backs out of it. I think there might have been a little bit of contact there, a little bit of a blink as well from the Monkey Butt Rides entry, but Marvin Frias in that McLaren, the steering wheel might be about 10 degrees to the left, but it looks like a McLaren that has no damage whatsoever. It looks perfectly fine.
Yeah, really impressive stuff there with just as almighty of a thwack that he took to the outside barriers that he is still able to be up and running in a good position here. That is some impressive stuff from Marvin Frias here as there's a little bit more side-by-side coming down into the corner. It's Mercedes and Lidke, somebody locking it up big time.
That was Marvin Frias. I think he got punted by Ryan Miles there. Miles is still parked there. I think he's waiting for Marvin Frias to get going again, so good sportsmanship there from Mr. Matthew Miles. I think I might have just called him Ryan, but yeah, there it is. Just straight into the back of him, under braking into Turn 5 on the curb. A little bit too late in the brakes, and Marvin Frias now has damage to another end of that car.
A rough run for that McLaren today, that is to be sure. As we check back in here, this is going to be the battle for P7. Darren Rutherford and Jerome Berthiaume right now. Rutherford in that brown McLaren, followed by the BMW of Jerome here, trying to see if he is going to be able to hold on to the back right now. Maybe thinking about a little bit of a move going down into the kink, but I think he's going to be too far back here at this point. Up ahead of them, that is the battle between Diaz and Francis Castillo-Romero.
Jerome's trying to join his teammates. Darren Rutherford in the brown McLaren is doing a pretty good job here. P7. I don't know what his best result of the season is. I should really have that stat here for him because he's been doing a great job at Road America. He loves this track, and it's working well for him. The McLaren has not been the car to have necessarily. Him and Marvin Frias have not had the most pace in the world compared to the Aston Martins and the BMWs, but he fights with the Aston Martins and the Mercedes rather. But he finds himself with a BMW, so it's a battle of two unfavored cars, and in a straight line, unlike last season, it seems to be the McLaren that you want to have in a straight line.
Yeah, it certainly does look like it's got a little bit more oomph to it underneath the hood at any rate as we continue to watch them working their way through. The BMW just not looking like it's closing in. A little bit of side-by-side farther back. This is Mercedes and Linkey trying to fight it out a little bit. Already Mercedes there on the outside, going to give a little bit of a pinch down to Drew Lidke, and is able to successfully shut the door there and keep him from going anywhere. A good run from Drew Lidke.
Ryan Miles misses nothing, by the way. He's in the chat. He realized that I did misidentify my Miles. It is indeed Matthew Miles. Matthew Miles is here in the field in that very, very green entry. Ryan Miles will be here with us in the F3 series in a couple of days' time, or a couple of weeks' time, actually, with our break. So, you know, you get this one, Ryan, but if you do make a mistake in F3 next week, you're getting called out. I'm not going to call you Matthew.
There it is. There it is as we check back in on the battle for the lead right now. This continuing to go around right now as it is Reem seemingly relatively content up at the front of this field to be leading. It doesn't look like he is in too tough of a way here at this point. He just looks content where he is, able to keep that car where he wants it to be and not necessarily having the problems here of having to worry about fuel saving. I think he's in a position where he's happy here, Joey.
He definitely is happy, and he's happy to be controlling the pace, I think, because even if he might not be able to save as much fuel as he would if he was running in second or third or fourth, he knows that he's probably the fastest driver on track right now, and when you have the lead, you can control the pace. You can still back off a little bit. You can save a little bit of fuel, and he's going to come down pit road now. 22 minutes to go. It's very, very early for him, but he's elected to come down now, and hopefully he doesn't end up in traffic. It was about a 50-second pit delta in the MX-5, so looking back, he should find some clean air behind Liam Park. He should be fine, but it's a very early stop from Justin Ream. It's kind of a flipped strategy to what we normally see.
Yeah, and to the point here that I'm almost a little bit worried about him making it to the end of the race here at this point, is he it comes in under the halfway point, so that's going to be a little bit sketchy, I think, on the return for him. He's going to have to watch out for that most certainly. He's going to get his service, and that is going to allow for Janak to be able to reassume the lead of this race here at this point. He is going to be keeping on. Doesn't look like we're getting a move here from Teddy Lowendick. I think he's relatively content to stay where he is at this point, as really are the rest of the field here. Not a lot of movement right now for a bunch of our drivers. They're all just holding back, waiting for the opportune moment to strike.
Suddenly, Ted sees the lead back and within his grasp, but I think Ted is thinking the long game here. I think he is definitely thinking strategy. He might have some of those RSR by butt kicker teammates in his ear. I don't know if he does. I don't know if he's just doing this solo, but he's certainly thinking about the long game here. If he might not necessarily have the race pace of Gignac or Ream, how do you win the race? You do it on strategy. So he's thinking about that, and hopefully he doesn't do what he did at Mid-Ohio last week, where he had the strategy nailed. He saved a little bit of fuel. He had a shorter run through pit lane than anybody. He could have won the race. Unfortunately, he spun at turn 1 and ended up falling down to 9th. But if he makes no mistakes, he might be able to replicate that tonight.
Yeah, I very well might. We'll have to see how it plays out, but plenty of time here. Reem, I can tell you, has been able to come out in some clean air in 19th position, just ahead of Liam Park, so he's got plenty of room to breathe here at this moment. That's going to be good news for him. Let's see, though, if Lowendick Gignac or Brockway decide to emulate him coming down into pit lane. Oh, looks like the Aston Martins of Brockway and Gabriel both going to be coming down in.
So both Aston Martins being a little bit fuel thirsty, but I don't know why everybody's coming in so early. I think there's definitely still going to be a couple more laps that you can extend. We don't normally see people come in exactly at halfway in the race. We normally see a couple of extra laps, but I guess with how long of a track Road America is, with how many straight lines there are, you're definitely wasting a little bit more fuel than you would at any other track. But here comes Gignac. Here comes Adam Brockway. It's a decent pit entry from Gabriel Gignac. It was a little bit awkward, a little bit skew, but he should be okay. And see if he can get out and continue to fight for his first win. And Adam Brockway as well. Watch his pit time as well. That's where he's been killed in the past couple of weeks. Just wait for the clock to tick up here. It's going to be about 18.6 seconds for Gignac, 19.3 for Brockway. So he's safe for this week.
And it's still a bit of a long stop compared to what we've seen, although Francis Castillo-Romero does put in a longer one at 20 seconds on the dot. But we'll have to see if that comes back to bite him. Just a little bit slow compared to Ream, slow compared to Gignac and Brockway. And crucially here, Justin Ream has been able to jump them both in the pit stop cycle. He now sits about 1.1 seconds ahead of Gignac as we follow right here Lidke and Mercedes. This battle just continuing on, not going anywhere. And now they may have another sparring partner for company. That's Frankie Arvello directly up ahead of them.
Frankie's been struggling tonight. I'm not entirely sure why. He's normally on the pace or ahead of the pace of his teammate Jerome Bertillon, but he's just not quite had the match for Jerome. Maybe Jerome likes Road America a little bit more. That's entirely possible, but Lidke and Mercedes, like you said, they have been stuck together since the start of this race. Every position matters in the PRL, all the way down to last place, as long as you finish more than 50% of the race. So they are going to get every single point they possibly can. Lidke's going to be a little bit too far back here to send a move into Canada corner, but he is in that favored Aston Martin in a straight line. Unfortunately for him, RD Mercedes is stealing a little bit of the draft off of Frankie Arvello, which kind of nullifies that advantage.
Yeah, it's not going to necessarily put him in the best position, but as we said, that straight line speed of the Aston Martin, certainly something that we have talked about here quite a bit today. Let's see, though, is there your leader, Teddy Lowendick, going to come down into pit lane?
And he didn't spin like he did at Mid-Ohio last week. So now we can see the actual effects of his planned pit strategy here. Diaz is in, Rutherford's in, Bertillon is in, Arvello's in. We've reached the hard end of the fuel tank here with about 17 minutes to go. Let's see, Ted, has he been practicing his GT4 pit stops? Has he been practicing his Road America pit stops? And critically, has he been practicing his first pit stall pit stops? He's not often up there. He doesn't start on pole very often. He's only done it once, but he did manage to get it stopped after a little bit of a lockup. The many Ted faces across that card are just staring at me in the face. And now we wait. It was 17.9 seconds for Ream, 18.6 for Gignac, 19.2 for Brockway, and it's 17.3 for Ted Lowendick.
But it's not going to matter because Ream is going to be able to whiz on by, as is Gabriel Gignac. He's going to find himself slotted out into third position. He is going to be within drafting range of Gignac, but I've got to be a little bit worried here. I mean, with just as long as these stops as we've seen, 17.4, I'd be a little bit worried if I were Ted that could come back to bite him, as now we see farther down in the field that battle between Lidke and Mercedes continuing to rage on here at this point. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. They're still locked in combat.
They still are, and these two Precision Racing Esports teammates as well in the BMWs. They found each other on track. Francis Castillo for the pro team, Jerome Bertillon for the academy team. They're technically teammates, technically not teammates though, and they're going to battle into turn 5 here. Jerome a little bit later on the brakes, and he is going to be able to make the move on his teammate Francis Castillo. Jerome's up to P7 now. He definitely is very, very comfortable at Road America here, and for a driver who's not necessarily on the Precision Racing Esports pro team, he's showing one of them up.
Yeah, he is. Oh, a little bit of contact there coming down into turn 5. I think that was Sean Mulholland potentially with Patrick Bachelard. 2 Aston Martins getting it a little bit wrong coming down into the corner, but they're going to be able to escape with no damage done to either of them here at this point. And indeed, it looks like Bachelard is starting to grow the gap here a little bit. We check back in on the battle for the lead of the race. Ream leading Gignac by about 7/10 of a second. Lowendick holding on behind in P3 to the tune of about 8/10 of a second.
It's kind of funny how nothing changed across that entire pit cycle. We were getting all excited about the numbers. We were getting excited about Ted pulling fuel strategy. Drew Lidke's not going to be very excited though at turn 8. Just a little bit wide, clips the grass, doesn't hit the concrete wall, so a little bit of good luck there. But he was just extending it a little bit too much, and his old buddy Artie Mercedes just got a big help there.
Yeah, got a big help to be able to get some breathing room off of Lidke. I think Lidke just pushing a little bit too hard as they ran. As now we focus in here as they go, looking at those gaps. Gignac has been able to bring that down to Justin Ream just a little bit. It's down to about 6/10 of a second, 7 as they get onto the binders going down into the corner. As here they come. It's now 5/10 of a second separating both Ream from Gignac and Gignac from Lowendick here at this point. That straight line speed of the Aston Martin starting to prove its worth here. Now, the other question that I've got to ask, if you are Justin Ream, remember, he came in shy of the halfway point. And with what we've seen, most drivers only able to make it to about 18 minutes or so left to go. Is he going to be short? Is he going to be in a position where he's got to be worried about fuel?
He should be fine, because remember in the initial stint, Ted Lowendick and the gang, they came in after 23 minutes on their tank with 17 minutes to go. So Justin Ream came in after 19 minutes. He's only got 21 minutes to go. So I think the math works out. At least it works out in my head. I hope it works out in Justin Ream's head as well. But I don't think he's even going to be thinking about that right now, because he and Gignac and Ted Lowendick, they've done all their strategy work now. The pit cycle's out of the way. All they can do now is race each other in wheel-to-wheel combat here. You've got to make your track positions now. You can't hold back. There's no use saving fuel anymore. You've got to finally break out the pace that you hope that you have.
Yeah, exactly. It is absolutely go time here at this point, and it certainly looks like it's go time for Gignac as he is starting to put some pressure onto the back of Justin Ream here. That gap now holding at about 2/10 of a second. He's got a great run coming through the kink right now. That gap, looking like it's actually expanding here a little bit. I think there's a chance maybe that Gignac is trying to do a little bit of fuel saving, trying to maximize for the end of the race. Either that or he just did not like the look that he had there coming through the kink.
I think it was the latter. I think he caught Ream a little bit too early and had to back out to not get into the back of him, and he's going to think for a better opportunity at turn 1, because you can see that Gignac is very, very hungry here. He definitely has the pace to match Ream, but it is just a question of where do you make the move. Justin Ream is a formidable competitor. He's a formidable driver to race against. We've seen him and Michael Diaz have a few insane battles over the course of the season, and suddenly Gabriel Gignac finds himself with a front row seat, and he's actually got to do the fighting here. He's going to bring the gap down again into turn 1, but I think he's going to be too far back to peek a nose to the inside. He's going to hang back again, and I think his next best opportunity is going to be in turn 5. You don't necessarily want to go for a move into turn 1 unless you have to. It's a dangerous place. It's a high-speed corner. You're much better off going for it in the heavier braking zones and the better passing opportunities at turn 5 and Canada Corner later.
Yeah, indeed. You definitely, there are higher percentage moves that you can take here at this track, but maybe this is one of them here for Gignac. He's now coming down under 1/10 of a second. Is he going to poke his nose to the inside? Yes, he is. Teddy Lowendick thought about following him on through, but that's not going to play itself out, as there they come down into the corner, and Gignac is going to go back up to the lead of the race.
Gignac is back, but Ream is back as well to the inside to turn 6. The inside is kind of where you want to be here in turn 6. It's a flat corner. You can't really fight around the outside, and Gabriel Gignac learns that the hard way. As soon as Justin Ream lost the lead, he takes it right back.
Yes, he does. So that's going to answer our question there, that he's certainly not looking like he wants to stay in line here at this point. He definitely wants to try to push ahead here a little bit more and try to continue on as much as possible. Ream right now holding on to the lead. It looks like we could be in an absolute slugfest here for the ending of this race, but we will have to wait and see. Only about 10 minutes left to go.
It's going to calculate out to about 5 laps to go, I think, if my math is correct. It might not be correct, but as these guys continue to fight, look at Adam Brockway in the background. He's not out of this either. He has been bringing that gap down slowly but surely as these guys have been racing side by side. So this could very easily become a four-way battle for this win. Ream clips the gravel a little bit. You don't want to do that too much. You saw what happened to Michael Chase in the MX-5s. These GT4s are a little bit heavier, so you can get away with a little bit more grass clipping, a little bit more gravel clipping, but if you throw it out too wide there, you will get that car spun around.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to be very careful, and be very careful there indeed if your name is Ted Lowendick, as he got it all kinds of wrong coming out of that final corner. He's going to lose a couple of tenths of a second here to these leaders, and he's going to find himself about 5 tenths behind here at this point. Gignac continuing to press in behind. A little bit of a look to the inside there. Don't think that was a full commit on the move. That was more of a moment of just trying to see if he could force Ream off the line, but Ream not to be deterred. Here comes another look. He's going to be very aggressive coming down into turn 3. I don't think Ream fought him that hard, as he knows the draft is coming back here through the corner.
Yeah, I think that might have been too early of a move for Gignac there, but honestly, right now, there's still 10 minutes to go. He might just be thinking, I got to experiment a little bit. If I'm going to fight Justin Ream, I need to take the opportunities when they come to me, and I also need to make sure I can actually fight him at any part of the track. So he went for a move that might be considered too early, but it worked for him. Ream's going to have to go around the outside in turn 5, which isn't going to work for him. Gignac's going to keep control. Ream's going to switch back, though. He's not going to be able to go for his favorite turn 6 move like on the last lap, though. He's going to have to stick back here. And now, for the first time, Gabriel Gignac gets to breathe, at least for a few corners on defense, before Justin Ream's going to be right back on him down the back straight.
Yeah, and I think the crucial phrase there is for just a few moments. He's not going to have all that much time here to wait around, as Ream will certainly try to be on the back of that Aston Martin. But can the legs of that Aston Martin play out here? Will they be able to hold themselves out? As we know that that straight line speed of the British mark is very, very good. 4 tenths of a second here for Justin Ream. Teddy Lowendick looks like he may be the one in the catbird seat in that Mercedes, though, as he's closer to Ream than Ream is to your leader here at this point. And they're bringing Adam Brockway into this equation as well, so not everything is set in stone here at this point. Let's wait and see. Nobody makes the move going down into Canada corner.
And look at Adam Brockway. That was like a 3-second gap 2 laps ago, and now it's a 0-second gap. It's a 4-way battle now. That's incredible.
A great driving there by the number 42, bringing that Aston Martin into the equation here at this point, and certainly not letting anything go by the wayside as we continue to keep our eyes fixed on the front of this battle. 7.5 minutes left to go. Not a lot of time left. What is going to happen for these drivers? That is all to tell here. You do not want to take your eyes away from RaceSpotTV here at this point. I can tell you that, Joey. I am sitting on the edge of my seat.
Well, you never want to take away your eyes from RaceSpotTV. The old FDA didn't allow us to release those harnesses that would force you to just sit and watch RaceSpot 24/7, but we'll release those one of these days because you cannot look away from this. There's 3 laps to go now. There will be 3 laps to go at the line. You saw the lead change in the last lap. You saw the lead change in the lap before that. I think it's going to change on every single lap until then. Ted Lowendick in the draft here, in the double draft of both Ream and Gignac. It's not going to change into turn 5 this time. They're a little bit too separated from each other, but you have to imagine that next time Justin Ream gets that run, there's going to be another dive.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. It's just a matter of when he's going to be able to find that run and if he's going to be able to do it in the right amount of time. Kicking up a little bit of grass there on the exit of turn 6. They now dive their way through turn 7. It continues to be Gignac, Ream, Lowendick, Brockway leading the field here at this point, just waiting for one of these moves to fire off and to see if anybody can. You can see just how hard Ream is pushing that car, almost flying over the edge there. He is doing everything he can do to keep up behind.
He's certainly extending the limits, but again, he's got to be careful not to extend them too far through the kink here. This has been a difficult spot for some of these GT4 drivers. It's not flat out in this car. You do definitely have to lift. You do definitely have to make sure you get your line right through the kink. It is definitely a corner in these cars. They all managed to nail it there. Aston Martin, Porsche, and Mercedes all making it through the kink fairly straightforwardly, but you can see again, Ream kicks up some gravel there all the way to the edge of the track, dips about half a wheel in the gravel, and I think he might clip the grass here through the final corner again. That's how far he's been moving it over to the left side of the track there. He doesn't, but it's actually Gignac who's using all of that little curb on the exit every one of these 3 drivers is using every single inch of this track.
They are pushing here at this point as they're going to cross over here with about 5 minutes left to go into this race. Maybe about 3 laps by my calculation. Teddy Lowendick maybe taking a little bit of a look to the outside. That is Gignac feeling the need to go defensive there, or maybe was that trying to help out Teddy Lowendick to try to scupper a little bit of the attack here from Justin Ream? We will never know, but one way or the other, they maintain in the order that they are in. Gignac, Ream, Lowendick, Brockway, as they now come down through turn 3, kicking up a little bit of dust yet again. Let's see how this draft plays in. Lowendick is bringing that gap down under 0.3 of a second here at this point, but going defensive is Gabriel Gignac, moving off to the left-hand side, now back to the right, now back to the left again, just trying to break that draft as much as possible. Ream's going to have a little bit of overlap, but not enough to make it work. Is Gignac going to be a little bit shallow on corner exit? No, looks like he's got that under control.
Gabriel was a little bit too far to the inside. I think he panicked a little bit in turn 5, and he actually turned in too early and clipped the grass on the inside. He got away with it, but that's a sign that Gabriel is certainly feeling the pressure right now. It's completely understandable. He's fighting for his first win against some of the titans of this GT4 series and Ted Lowendick as well. But Gabriel is very much under pressure right now, and the pressure is not letting up. Ream's even closer to him now through the carousel. Justin needs to be within about 0.3 of Gabriel Gignac, I think, through the kink and through turn 3 for that matter, to take full advantage of the draft. If he's any further than that, Gabriel can breathe a little bit easier. But Justin, I think, knows the effect of the draft. He knows he's at a straight line speed deficiency. He needs to get that little bit closer.
Well, he's at about 0.3 of a second right now as they came through the kinks, so we'll have to see if that's going to be enough. Oh, Lowendick with a little bit of a move as well. They're starting to get feisty here in the closing moments of this race. If my math was indeed correct, they're going to come to the line here with 2 to go. Gignac a little bit squirrely there on the exit of the corner, but he was able to hold everything down and nice together. Let's see what happens here. The gap staying under 0.3 of a second for Justin Ream. That's probably exactly what he wants here at this point. Teddy Lowendick keeping this close as well. Adam Brockway sitting back in the popcorn position to all of this battle.
Ted Lowendick might actually be in the worst position of anybody right now because he can't go for a move on Justin Ream because that's just going to slow them both down and let Gabriel Gignac pull a little bit of a gap. So all he can do is hope that Justin Ream goes for the move, which indeed he is doing. They're going to be side by side to turn 1. Ream squeezes Gignac a little bit, but he's clear into turn 1. Gignac's going to get the switch back, though. He's got a nose to the inside. And again, Ted Lowendick just has to hang back and hope that Gignac and Ream keep running each other as hard as they are, and they can open the door for him.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to be hoping for here at this point. Lowendick sitting about 0.2 of a second behind Gignac. Gignac trying to close that gap a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be coming down close enough. Teddy may be in the catbird seat here to take the position. He's going to fade off to the left as if he's thinking about it, then comes back to the racing line. He's not going to be able to do that going down into turn 5, and they'll stay in single file order here at this point as they work their way back up the hill through turn 7.
Gignac has the straight line speed advantage again. As long as he can get a good exit out of the carousel and through the kink, frankly, he'll have another shot at Justin Ream into Canada corner. We know he's able to make moves on Justin. He just needs to make sure to maximize everything here. There's 2 more. There's going to be 1 more lap to go at the line. It's about 1.5 more laps for Gabriel Gignac, and they are the most pressure he has ever felt in his PRL career, I'm very sure. Through the carousel, he looks like he's doing pretty decent. He's a little bit wider through there, but I think that's just to maximize his exit speed, and he has certainly maximized his exit speed. He's stuck within about 0.2 of Justin Ream through the kink here. He's got to make sure he doesn't lose focus through the kink as well. That's very easy to do through there. It's a perfect run. He's going to be in the draft to Justin Ream. Ream should defend to the inside here, but Gignac's going to try and make it around the outside in Canada corner if he can. He's actually not able to get to the outside. He wasn't able to bring that gap down, but look for Gignac again at turn 1.
Yeah, I think you've got to keep your eye open for him there coming off of turn 1 here at this point. That could be the operative word, but they're all coming down to the white flag here at this point. How is this going to pan out for these drivers? Oh, a little bit of squirreliness there for Justin Ream as he gets it a little bit wrong. And is that the open opportunity here that Gabriel Gignac needs? He's going to drive it down to the inside here. What will be the outside as they get down into turn 1, driving in as hard hard as he can is Justin Ream. They're side by side coming down the main straightaway. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers through this high-speed first corner. Ream looks like he's got it covered, trying to carry momentum around the outside as Gignac. Teddy Lowendick trying to get interested in the conversation as well, as they are going to now go back into single file order. And now here comes Brockway. Brockway setting a sleeper move there on Teddy Lowendick as they come into 3.
Yeah, Ted was backing out there. He was trying to make sure that Ream and Gignac could keep their fight going, and he was going to stick behind him, try and take advantage, but he opened the door for Adam Brockway. You can't actually see Ream and Gignac ahead, but they're going to go side by side through turn 5 again. Ream's going to block all the way to the inside. Gignac to the outside. He's going to have to be very late in the brakes here to beat Ream around the outside. He was late in the brakes. He's going to try a switchback, but he gets a lot of oversteer on the exit. That's a big mistake for Gignac. He needs to get everything back together here, and he'll have one more shot down the back straight, but he's got to keep the car under him.
Yeah, he's got to keep the car under him here, and crucially, that gap has grown up to about 0.4 of a second between himself and Justin Ream here at this point. Teddy Lowendick has been able to get back around by Adam Brockway, so he holds on to the final podium position here as they work their way down through turn 8. Going into the carousel, that gap looking a little bit unassailable here for Gabriel Gignac. He is going to have the couple of corners of his life here as they work their way through. Teddy Lowendick looking like he could be under a little bit of an attack, potentially from Brockway. The gap now coming down under 0.4 of a second for Gignac up the front of the field right now. Gignac trying to close this down. This is going to have to be a late braking maneuver going down into Canada corner. The gap holding at about 0.3 of a second. I don't think he's going to be close enough going down into Canada corner to get this done. He's going to have to try this in terms of a drag race going up the main straightaway. Gignac closes under braking, under 0.3 here at 2.5 tenths. It looks like Teddy Lowendick could be in trouble from Brockway from behind. It doesn't look like Teddy's going to be able to move his way up forward, but Gignac still has eyes on that front step as they come through the final corner right now. This is all going to be a drag race to the line here for Gabriel Gignac. Runs it wide, but that may have just been the traction that cost him. He's going to try to get the draft here as they come to the checkered flag, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Indeed, he's going to stay in line, and it's going to be Justin Ream, Gabriel Gignac, Teddy Lowendick, and Adam Brockway, your top 4.
There were 2 mistakes on the final lap for Justin Ream, but neither of them was enough for Gabriel Gignac to really take advantage there. Gabriel kind of matched him with a couple of just little jumps, little errors. They ended up evening out, and nothing changed there on the final lap. The top 4 came into that final lap. The top 4 ended the lap in exactly the same way. That was a very, very exciting battle for the lead.
Very exciting battle as we check a little bit farther back in the field. This is Marvin Frias holding off Brett Pincari here at this point. Brett, I think, a little bit resigned to his finishing position of 15th there as the Princess Daisy machine crosses over the line. Drew Lidke will be the next to come over as they go. But my goodness gracious, what a race at the front of that field. Justin Ream able to take victory over Gignac, over Teddy Lowendick, with Adam Brockway in that fight as well. Michael Diaz a fair way behind. Then it was Francis Castillo-Romero, Darren Rutherford, Jerome Berthiaume, Fernando Yaquez, and Frankie Arvello rounding out your top 10 for the day. In 11th, it was Patrick Bachelard, followed by Artie Mercedes, Sean Mulholland, and Marvin Frias, barely able to hold off Brett Pincari. We saw that battle come to the end of the race. Then it was Drew Lidke, Brian Hoskins, and Matthew Wyckoff, the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Then it was Liam Park and Corey Clark having some problems out there for the day, as did Matthew Miles, William Brennan, and Jose Lockwood. Well, Joey, you couldn't really have asked for a better championship conclusion than that. Close racing up to the end. Unfortunately for Diaz, he just wasn't able to seal the deal. But talk about a battle between Ream and Gignac up at the front of the field.
Yeah, Gabriel, I'm sure it's not going to be any solace to him that he was able to fight for the win. He still didn't get the win, but if Gabriel is back with us next season for more GT4 racing, he's going to take this with him. He's going to know that he has the speed to fight with Justin Ream, to fight with Brockway, to fight with Diaz, and win, which will be a great boost of confidence for him. And Michael Diaz didn't have the best day today. We did just mention him. He finished 5th. He was kind of anonymous, but I don't think he cares too much. I think when he does come to talk to us here in a few minutes, he'll be pretty happy because he needed a quiet day to win the championship, and that's what he got, and he got the championship for it.
Yeah, it certainly did, as we are now joined by your victor on the day, Justin Ream. And Justin, those last couple of laps, talk me through withstanding that pressure from Gabriel from behind you.
I needed Gabriel out front for the for about 3 or 4 laps because I was pretty short on fuel. I went pretty aggressive on the pit stop. So then I figured that I had more pace than them, so I just knew that I had to make a move on them. But yeah, the last lap was not ideal for my exit of the final corner, but I managed to slow it down at turn 5 and hold it together, I guess.
Well, you were able to hold it together, and I did want to ask you, was the strategy all along to come down into pit lane so early there, or was that a little bit more of a game time decision?
That was a game time decision because I didn't want to tow everyone else behind me and then just be short fueled on the pit stop with everyone else behind me. So I assumed that if I pitted early, I can give or take away the draft from those guys and then hopefully just get into some clean air and put in some good lap times. So it kind of worked out, but I also end up having to save fuel, so it kind of didn't, I guess.
Well, I mean, you won the race, so I've got to take that. And, well, looking ahead to next season, I guess first question, are we going to see you back, and are championship aspirations on the cards?
Yeah, I'm already registered for next season, so. And then, yeah, I don't know about championship next year or next season, I guess, but as always, just here to try to have some fun, so.
Well, Justin, you surely had to have had some fun in that race, and you put on a great show for us. But in the meantime, anybody else you'd like to thank?
Just Alpine Stars Geodesic for helping me out. And then you guys as well for putting the broadcast on.
It's our pleasure. Justin, congratulations again, and have a great Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you.
All right, that was Justin Ream, your first place finisher, and I believe, Joey, you have you've got your pick here. Who do you want to talk to next? Oh, it's Teddy Lowendick. Ted Lowendick, our third place finisher.
Yeah, we'll go to Ted before we go to the champion, but first question, Ted, can you hear us now? Ted, fix your audio equipment. All right, we'll come back to Ted. I'll tell him he's got to fix his stuff. This is he usually figures it out eventually, but we got a more important driver to talk to. Michael Diaz is here. You know, Michael, 5th place today. It was kind of an anonymous race for you, but I can't imagine you care very much because you just locked up the championship.
Yeah, it was really tough today with the Beamer. I wasn't expecting it to be that bad. But yeah, won the champ today, and that's pretty good. So yeah, I'll take it, I guess.
So next season, do you think the BMW is still going to be the car to have? We know it's had its struggles this season, but it still brought you a championship. So what are you thinking about next season? Are you going to stick with the BMW or try something different?
We'll see if we get a new car first and see how that feels. But I'm not sure, to be honest, because I think the Beamer's fine. It's just the setup. For me, it doesn't really work with all the understeer it has, and yeah, so I guess I'll just do some testing and see what I can feel more comfortable with at different type of tracks, and see what we go with.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot here. You know, it's your second championship in the PRL, so I gotta dig into this. If you had to pick one race from this whole season that was your favorite race of the season,
Nürburgring, because the car was so good at that track. Like nowhere else. It was you could just do whatever you want with it. So yeah, Nürburgring was so good there.
A lot of good races to choose from. There was I'm sure not for you. The Daytona race was entertaining for us. Probably not so much for some of you guys, but yeah, it was a great season of the GT4s, and congrats again on a championship.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you guys doing all the broadcasts and all that, and always putting up with us for whatever we do. But yeah, last week you asked me if I had a question and hide behind you.
I completely forgot about that.
So yeah, when I leave, just don't say I said it. Ask him if I earn an extension on the team, and then just make it like it's your thing.
All right, we'll wheel that out when we talk to Jerome next. But I will remember that. I completely forgot about my question from last week, so thank you for remembering that.
Yeah, I was thinking all week. It was tough to come up with something. But yeah, as always, thanks to you guys, and have a good night. See you next season.
As always, see you next season. Michael Diaz, El Champion of the world, or at least of the PRL world. I think Ted Lowendick is finally able to hear us, so let's drag him in next. Ted, do you finally have a copy? That dirty liar, DJ. The audio doesn't work after all.
Looks like we're not going to be able to talk to our third place finisher here today, unfortunately, but we do have time to talk here to P15, Brett Pincari, on a quick interview. Brett, Princess Daisy back out on the track again. Looked like it was some pretty close battles for you there up and down the field. How'd it go?
In all honesty, it wasn't really I got kind of caught in no man's land, no draft or anything like that. So I was kind of fighting for mostly scraps, and the only shot I really needed to have I basically need like a godlike run, maybe a top 10 to maybe get into the top 10 in points. But the only way I needed that was going to be some absolute carnage. I mean, there was some wrecks, but it was fairly clean for the most part. But just again, my lack of pace in the Porsche kind of bit me. But I did have some close battles, like you said, though, from most of the race, and it's not a bad result, and at least I didn't have any DNFs all this season, so it's a good thing in that regard.
It is indeed, and well, with some of the problems there that you obviously had with the Porsche, are you thinking of changing for next season, or are you going to stick with the Porsche?
Well, actually, I'm heading to a different league in PRL. I'm going to run the NASCAR Cup Series on Sunday, so because I'm planning on doing something else on Mondays. But if I do come back to this series, I'm going to be till I don't know when exactly, but if I do come back, I may go to the McLaren just to be different, because the only reason I took the Porsche was to be as different as I could be from the rest of the crowd. So that's the reason why I took the Porsche. And I knew from, like I said, the Open Series last season how not great it was. I might go to the McLaren next season, or next time I run the GT4s, but that'll be for a long while, and who knows, maybe the Porsche will be good by the time I come back.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, my friend, but a good run today, a good way to wrap the season. We wish you best and headed to the Cup Series. But anybody you'd like to thank for tonight?
Well, Jerome Berfion, I think I totally butchered his name, for allowing me into PRL, and of course you guys at RaceSpotTV for doing all the broadcasting and stuff, and it's gonna be somewhat bittersweet me leaving this GT4 series after just one season, but I using this as sort of a fill in the gap between something I'm hoping to get into starting next week on Mondays, which is also RaceSpotTV, but in a different league. But like I said, hopefully I'll be back, and again, thanks also Nick Baker at Splash Skull Graphics for both paints this season.
All right, well, Brett, thank you so much. Congratulations on a great season, my friend.
Thanks.
All right, that was Brett Pincari, your finisher there in the fields. And Joey, it looks like we've got a quick time here for interview with series organizer Jerome Bertium.
Indeed we do. Jerome is here. I asked him to come back. I had to, because it's the end of yet another PRL GT4 season, and it seems to have gone pretty well. How did your season go, in your opinion?
Yeah, it was a very fantastic season. We had a lot of driver compared to last season. So yeah, that's exactly what I told the boys during the pre-race meeting. Just a fantastic season. A lot of good battle on track. Very, very clean all across the series. So yeah, I just hope that next season will be the same, because it was just perfect. For me, it was a very fun season.
And of course, for Precision Racing Esports, you guys have got to be pretty happy. Michael Diaz wins the championship. Has he earned an extension for next season? Are you going to re-sign him?
Oh, of course. He's got the contract. But yeah, a fantastic season for Michael. He stayed very consistent throughout the season, and it paid in the end. Managed to get to just take the good opportunity when the car was good. So as of today, the BMW was really bad, but any track that the BMW was good, then Michael sent it and got the win. So yeah, fantastic season for him.
What are you looking most forward to next season? I did see the preliminary list. I honestly don't remember a lot of it. I think we're going to Rudskogen in the GT4s next season, but what race are you looking most forward to?
I haven't seen the schedule very deep, to be honest. Next season, I'm not sure we'll be racing this series with a lot of stuff to do with PRL, a lot of good project coming in. I will just turn left next season in the Xfinity. Yeah, so yeah, it's but there's already a lot of good driver that has signed up. We have also another of our pro driver at Precision Racing Esport that will join the series, Abner Acosta. So that's going to be really fun to see Acosta and Diaz together on track.
I saw the list of drivers signed up. I'm very excited for Abner Acosta to be taking on some road stuff next season. I'm excited to see you take on the Xfinity cars next season as well. So enjoy the 3-week break, and we'll see you when we come back.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thanks to all the watchers, thanks to all the members, and yeah, very good job by you as usual. So thanks guys for broadcasting.
Always a pleasure indeed. Jerome Bertiome, the PRL head honcho. Always glad to talk to him. You know what? Insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and hoping it works, but we've made a change. I've forced Ted Lowendick onto his phone here. Do we finally have our third place finisher? A mute and unmute. Ted, you might have push to talk on. Is there a big green button that you have to push? All right, DJ, I know what we can do. Oh, we can see him. We can see him. Ted, do you know American Sign Language? Oh, there we go. Okay. I mean, you don't need to communicate with any more words than that, do you? Do you get to do a shoey for third place? I guess you do.
Well, he's the one who decides, so he certainly gets the chance to there at that point. And even if the sound isn't working, we get to see Ted Lowendick do his shoey there. And they're the grimace of discontent, I think, from the flavor of it.
Yeah, we don't need any words. That's all we need.
Yeah, exactly. That is all we need. Well, Joey, that's unfortunately going to wrap up not only tonight's broadcast for us here, but this season for the Precision Racing League Monday Night Series between the MX-5 Cup and the GT4 Fixed Series. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you all of the racing action over the course of this season. Do not worry, we will be back next season here on RaceSpotTV. And so on behalf of myself, DJ Clark, as well as Joey Tebben and art director and producer Hugo Luis behind the scenes, until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.